this week.
That's right.
We talked about Adrian Peterson at Oklahoma. They take on the Cornhuskers in Lincoln as kickoff approaches. It's a morning kickoff there in Lincoln. Peterson out there, but not with the shoulder pads on. Don't get alarmed. They say he's still expected to play, but how well can the guy cut? He hasn't been much of a factor in the last 4 games. We talked about it the first time since the Kennedy administration. Neither team ranked at kickoff. The former battle of the Big Reds. Who gets it today?
Forget Peterson. Oklahoma wins this one with great defense over Nebraska.
I think athletically Oklahoma has the advantage, but I just think Nebraska playing in Lincoln still matters in this game, and I think Nebraska is going to find a way to get it done. Offense will outscore Oklahoma.
If that happens, the Cornhuskers are very much alive in that Big 12 North race. They have to visit Colorado at the end of the season. All right.
Welcome to college football on ABC. And you can tell by looking at these fans that it doesn't matter that Nebraska and Oklahoma aren't what they have been in recent years. When these two teams put on the helmets and get ready to go against each other, people get fired up. 1961 actually was the last time these two teams lined up against each other with neither team ranked. John Saunders, Craig James, and Aaron Taylor. But as I said, when it is Oklahoma against Nebraska, all of a sudden, you know, your ears perk up, your eyes get big, and you get ready to play some big football.
John was ready. He was perked up, and I'm perked up too, because this is going to be a good football game. Whether or not these two teams ranked doesn't matter. What does matter is that Oklahoma, for as much heat as they've been taking, is still playing championship caliber defense. They're third in the nation against the rush, only giving up 76 yards per game. And a big reason because of that, they got a good defensive lineman, Dusty Dvorak. Watch him today as he plays, guys. He will cause havoc in that Nebraska run game.
You changed up what you were going to say. You were going to go with ranking schmanking.
Ranking schmanking.
Right,
So
let me talk about ranking schmanking right now. We're talking about the quarterback at Oklahoma. Red Bomar is a talented individual. We have to trust that Bob Stoops has put a guy there who's capable of winning football games. He's coming along. He's had some experience now in his back pocket, and he's going to need that. This is a football team that's not that bad. Their 3 opponents who beat them are a combined 21-1 on the season. 1 loss. TCU gave up 2.
SMU.
Attaboy, you got it in there. Woo, glad you listened. Hey, man, Oklahoma has to play today. Their offense with Adrian Peterson, if he's healthy enough, that's going to be the difference.
All right, let's take a look at the BC.
As the leaves change and the nights get cooler, we are reminded the greatest part of the college football season is upon us. Rivalry season. One of the greatest rivalries in the game is renewed today for the 82nd time.
Holloway going down the line with it. He took touchdown. And Dean Blevins is the quarterback. He pitches it to Peacock.
Great players, legendary coaches have defined this matchup.
Rodgers takes the ball at the 30. He's all the way home. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out.
What will we remember from today's game? Oklahoma, Nebraska renewed. ABC's coverage of college football welcomes you a Halloween treat that comes early. Here on ABC, we bring you one of the great rivalries of all time. It will be a sea of red. That's the tradition here in Nebraska. Barry Switzer will be joining us later. Oklahoma and Nebraska, they have played so many football games that have mattered so much. And today they go at it one more time here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Welcome, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne. Delighted to have you with us. These two teams are used to battling one another for national titles. Combined, they have had 96 All-Americans in their history. But for the young players who go out there today, it's about becoming part of the great tradition of this magnificent rivalry. And there are things at stake. Bowl bids, a chance at a Big 12 national championship game for Nebraska. That's what's going on here today. But to be part of the history, Ed Cunningham.
Well, Gary, we're at the 10-year reunion of the 95 team, the national champions, arguably one of the best teams in college football history, who ended the season in the Fiesta Bowl with a 62-24 win over Florida. A lot of people thought that game was going to be closer than it was. Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips, they dogged Danny Warfel all day, made him throw picks, interceptions, and one of the greatest ones I've ever seen in my life was Tommy Frazier's win to really seal this victory. 12 national championships between Oklahoma and Nebraska is why this is such an important game. And for more on the importance of that game, let's go over to Mark Morgan.
I'm standing on Stadium Drive just outside Memorial Stadium. As you can see, it's a sea of red as these Nebraska fans get ready to welcome Oklahoma for the first time since 2001. Now, the last time the Sooners won here in Lincoln was November 21st, 1987. In that game, Nebraska led at the half by a score of 7-0. In the third quarter, Oklahoma's Anthony Stafford scored on this 11-yard run. Then, a little later in the third, Patrick Collins of the Sooners went 60 65 yards for another touchdown. The Sooners would add a field goal, and Oklahoma won that game by a score of 17-7. But Gary, the Sooners have really struggled offensively in recent years here. In fact, Oklahoma has averaged just 7.6 points per game in its last 5 visits to Lincoln.
And these are offenses that are in transition as Oklahoma takes the field here in Lincoln, Nebraska. This has always been a crowd that appreciates great football. They do it at the end of the game, though, because at the start, it's all about red. Ed and I will take a look at the keys to this game when we come back. There are the helmets that will be put on these young men's heads, and away we go with Oklahoma getting set to go against Nebraska. It's mostly sunny here today. The high is expected to be about 69, but take a look at that wind out of the south. 26 miles an hour with gusts up to 32. That could play a part in this game. As you look at the field, it'll be blowing right to left. Has already made one decision here in this game.
Yeah, Oklahoma deferred, so they're not going to get the ball to start the first or second half. For Oklahoma, don't force the ball. Rhett Bomar, the freshman quarterback who's been starting since the second game, tends to turn it over. He cannot do that in a big game and adjust on the fly. Defensively, they're going to see a multitude of shifts and motions by Nebraska. They got a young secondary that just has to be able to pick it up. For Nebraska, offensively, because of that young secondary, they're going to need to take some shots. Zach Taylor is going to need to go down the field. He won't be able to do it here probably in the first quarter because the wind is a factor, but go over the top a few times. And on defense, know the personnel. If Adrian Peterson is able to play, it looked in warm-ups that he will be able to play, you're going to get more downhill running. If it's Gutierrez or Jones, you're going to see more side-to-side gun run type of stuff.
Well, for Bob Stoops, it's his 7th season, 71-15 the numbers. He led Oklahoma to that 20-game win streak they had, 2000, 2001, and the national champions, along with 3 Big 12 titles. On the other side, these two getting to meet one another yet another time. Bill Callahan, he is 10-8 in just his 2nd season. Former head coach of the Raiders, assistant coach in college and at the pro ranks, and both of these coaches instituting new look offenses.
Well, for Bill Callahan, he's not just changing the offense, he's changing the entire culture, almost of the entire state going to the West Coast. So many people in this state used to years and years of power option football. Not anymore.
Garrett Hartley for Oklahoma will be kicking off. He has the wind at his back, and that is going to drive it right through the end zone. So it'll come out to the 20. So the wind, in fact, did affect the decision that was made by Oklahoma. Nebraska is going to get the ball a couple of times, first half, second half, because Oklahoma wanted that win.
I always wonder about that. I just don't know about giving a team an added possession in the game by that choice. The wind is, there's no doubt, it's a major factor, but Zach Taylor, who's been so much better in league play than he was at the beginning of the season, he's going to get the wind at his back in the second quarter, and then they're going to get the ball to start the third.
Corey Ross wears number 4. He is in the backfield. He is their both runner and receiver, leaders in those departments on a per-game basis. He's flanked on the left side. They go to the air, and a sack back to the 10. That didn't take long. Calvin Thibodeau, the senior, 251-pound defensive end, starts it out with a sack and a loss of 8.
And this is something that last week against Missouri was a big problem. Just gets right inside. Lyndon Murtha, the left tackle, making his first start. A freshman getting the start over Fumatu Thomas and just got beat to the inside.
This offensive line for Nebraska has been a problem. That will be carried by Ross, but not very far, as he's taken down by Rufus Alexander after a gain of only 1. Let's take a look at the Outback Steakhouse starting lineups in this game. The backs and receivers, Ross, as we said, and a primary receiver, Terrence Nunn, Swift, Phillips, and Todd among the starters. This offensive line's really going to be tested here today. As we said, they have given up 16 sacks now. They've got to hold, especially in long down situations.
And this defense for Oklahoma now with 3rd and long, they can really pin their ears back. And this defensive front, listen, they've had their troubles in the secondary, but they still have the guys who can get it done up front and pass rush.
Nate Swift and Nunn are both in there. 3rd down, they run the screen to the near side. Ross gets it up to the 20-yard line near the original line of scrimmage. It is a gain of 8. Lewis Baker moved in and put the hit on. So on that 3rd down, they're just back to the original line of scrimmage.
Ross has got to, he had a run earlier. They're just going to run the screen. When these guys come out, he's got to look back to the inside. Instead, he runs right to where the safety is. He's got to see where the late blocker was coming through Kurt Mann, and he just never got over there. Tough kick into the wind here.
Coe's going to do the kicking. He averages almost 45 yards a kick. He is 9th in the nation. This one will come from the 10-yard line, and it is a shank squib at midfield. It goes out of bounds at midfield, no return. He was obviously trying to keep that kick out of the wind and a line drive, and instead it went off the side of his foot. A 31-yard kick.
It's just like in golf. When it's breezy, swing it easy. Don't try to kill it.
Yo!
Don't you?
We write that one down.
Too much into it.
All right, we're going to get Peterson, number 1. You saw coming out to play some offense. We'll get to him in a minute. For the Sooners, they will start with Rhett Bomer, who took over as the starter in the second game of the season. Adrian Peterson, number 28, is in the backfield. They fake to him. Bomer rolls, looking deep. It's going to be caught for a first down and out of bounds at the 35-yard line. So they start by going to the air, looking deep on that one. Malcolm Kelly, a 14-yard gain. We will see Peterson start, but a lot of other running backs will be involved. Reynolds, Moses, Wilson, and Thompson. Outback Steakhouse bringing you the starting lineups. The offensive line, they have done a pretty decent job this season in protection and opening some holes. They'll be asked to do that again today. They want to establish the run. However, they start with the pass, and they get a first down at 10. Now, Gutierrez has come into the backfield wearing 21 out of the shotgun. He carries. He'll be taken down at about the line of scrimmage. There'll be no gain. Adam Ickerson on the tackle. The defense for Nebraska. They are 9th in rushing defense, 64th in pass defense. Carricker puts on a tremendous rush from that defensive end. Adam Smith and Moore will be up front. In the back, we're going to be talking about McEwen, number 13. He is their leading tackler, and he plays a tough game. Bullocks will be involved in a lot of blitzes in this game as a cornerback.
Peterson back into the ball game.
We're going to shuffle these backs in and out throughout this game. Second man through. Peterson on the carry. 30. He's got some room at the 20. Down to the 10. Cuts back inside. Touchdown! Apparently the high ankle sprain isn't so high and isn't so sprained anymore. Wow. A 36-yard touchdown run. Adrian Peterson, who did not play against Baylor last week, takes it in for the TD.
Delayed draw, great block by the fullback, and Peterson. What about 99.9% on that run, you think, Gary? It wasn't quite. It didn't quite have that burst we're used to, but when he gets going downhill, he's awfully tough to bring down.
There is Garrett Hartley on the point after. It is up and it is good. He's had 19 out of 20 in the PATs. So, Oklahoma, there's an answer to one of their questions, at least early. How much are we going to be able to play Adrian Peterson? If he keeps running like that, the answer is going to be a lot. For Adrian Peterson, that is his 7th touchdown of the season, and for the 4th consecutive game, Nebraska has had the opponent score on the first series against them. That's ugly. Here's our Nissan Drive summary.
Peterson, who's been suffering from that ankle sprain, did not play last week against Baylor, but this week at practice, he felt the best he's felt since he sprained it against Kansas State. Still not quite 100%, but you could see it looked like he was going to get tackled at about the 3-yard line there, and he just has so much strength he can finish each run.
Here is Hartley again. He's got that wind to his back, and once again he's going to drive that through the end zone. So once again, Nebraska, who went 3 and out the first time around, starts at the 20.
You know, a lot of coaches script their first 15 plays, and Bill Callahan's one where he wants to see what, against all the different formations. It has not been working very well. You already mentioned that they've fallen behind 7-0 in 4 straight ball games, but they have yet to score a touchdown on their first drive. Now they're into the wind, so that didn't help with the 3 and out, or the sack didn't help either. But things just not going so well with the script that he's writing up lately.
Zach Taylor, they run out of that eye, and at the line of scrimmage, there'll be no gain on that one. And boy, you got a fired up Sooner defense here, as that was Cody Glenn, a power runner. You take a look defensively, this is a magnificent front. Dusty Dvorak we'll talk about today, but he will lead them in getting into that backfield. Their linebackers, all 3 outstanding. Alexander is their leader in tackles. Latimer Ingram involved as well. And the question is going to be, can this Oklahoma secondary shut down the passing game? If there is a weakness, that may very well be it. A 2nd down and 9 for Nebraska with 3 receivers to the left side. They'll run Ross that way. He'll get over the 25 to the 26-yard line for a gain of 5. Rufus Alexander, the hit on Corey Ross. Let's check in what's going on elsewhere. John.
Gary, the BCS Spotlight game presented by ADT Update. Troy Smith looking for Santonio Holmes. Has him on the sidelines. Oh, defender falls. 41 yards. Ohio State strikes first. 7-0 over Minnesota. Gary.
All right, John, thanks very much. John will keep us updated on the other games going on. Slotted to the near side. Another third down, 3rd and 4. Cutting across at the 30. A big-time hit. It is incomplete. It would have been completed, but DJ Wolf moved in on Terrence Nunn and knocked it away, and it's 3 and out again for Nebraska.
And Wolf, a converted running back who's already got an interception return for a touchdown on the year. This ball thrown just a hair late by Zach Taylor. Wolf is looking in the backfield in zone coverage. He had released the receiver, and that would have been a first down had Nunn been able to hang on, but I don't know anybody could hang on. That's a nice hit by a former running back.
He got turned around and never got a chance to get the legs going. So Coe again will have to do some punting, trying to keep it down. He does. That's a beautiful
wow,
kick
what a
with
kick.
Stiff wind.
What a kick.
That is going to go all the way back to the 16-yard line. So after he shanked the first one, Sam Coe is 9th in the nation in punting. Went 58 yards on that. A flag is down. And we'll see what the call is going to be with the ball, for the moment at least, spotted at the 16.
We have a sideline warning on Oklahoma.
Steve Juszczyk apparently not liking some of the sounds coming from the side, or it may have been some of the players that moved out of their box locale and gotten onto the field too early. We're not sure if that's what it was. You see, he's pushing everybody back. Some of the guys got out of the field. Fans here wanting their defense to get it going. Adrian Peterson is going to be in the backfield. Looking over the middle, that's going to be incomplete. Batted up in the air. That was almost a freebie right there. Good play by Tedke.
Well, it's been a really tough year for Adrian Peterson. Game number 1 against TCU, when they're trying to sort out their quarterback problems. He gets the right ankle, and then in the first quarter against Kansas State, and he was really running well. He finally recovered, it looked like, from the first twist that he had, but he goes down, and he's been fighting that nagging ankle injury ever since. And with a new quarterback, they really needed the second-place Heisman Trophy guy from last year to step up.
They look over the middle, lob one down to the 40-yard line. That is going to be overthrown and incomplete. The attendant was Malcolm Kelly, a freshman wide receiver, but he had no chance on that one.
And for a guy who was second in the country last year with 1,925 rushing yards, he's just not been very effective. And you can imagine the way this guy runs with so much power. He's not a back and forth guy, but he has to be able to push off that ankle. And the coaches have said he's been just fighting through and fighting through. And you asked the other day, does there come a time when you say just rest him for a while? And that's kind of what they decided to do last week against Baylor.
So they get their first big third down play. It'll be a 3rd down and a 10. Nebraska's been tough against teams third down, only 26 completion rate. That one is going to be incomplete. No flag. 25-yard line, and Daniel Bullock's nice coverage. Bullock's in his 29th start, dove in front of it. It'll be an incomplete pass, and it'll be a punting situation now for Oklahoma.
And this is one thing that Chuck Long, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Oklahoma, has been working with his young quarterback Bomar. Sometimes he's just a little late on his throws. He's still trying to make that leap. Remember, he's just a redshirt freshman from the high school level to the big-time Big 12 level.
Kick's going to come from about the 5-yard line, as Cody Freeby will be doing the kicking, and it'll be Courtney Grigsby standing back. He drives that one with the wind carrying it all the way back to the 30-yard line, up to the 40. Grigsby's got a little room. Nice return. He gets it over midfield. DJ Wolf putting the tackle on, a 54-yard punt with the wind at his back, but a 20-yard return. Good field position coming up for Nebraska. In Nebraska with a packed house again on hand, 7-0. Oklahoma scoring on their first drive. Coming up, second half of our college football doubleheader. Most are going to see Iowa State take on Texas A&M. Others will see Purdue, Penn State, Maryland, Florida State, or Washington State, USC. It's coming up next, right here on ABC Sports. Check your local listings.
Well, every year in the Pac-10, one team has scared USC that no one expected to. Last year it was Stanford, and I get a feeling it might be Washington State this year.
Saw Dane Todd, 41, the fullback, move back. They send the man in motion from the left side. Zach Taylor, good field position for Nebraska. Run out of that eye, second man through. Corey Ross will have a 3-yard gain as he spun away. Corey Bennett, the redshirted freshman, moved in, put the hit on Ross.
Well, we already know that Nebraska is into the wind, and Zach Taylor, who grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, his father, Sherwood, played at Oklahoma, so a little bit of a different game for him. He needs to be very careful. Even though it's a little bit of a suspect secondary for Oklahoma, you just have to throw, and you have to concentrate on the ball coming off your hand right. If that ball wobbles at all and you're throwing it out, it can be a pick the other way.
They send Mario Lucky to the near side. Going to run for that first down, not quite. That'll be the 42-yard line, a 5-yard gain. And let's check in with one of the former heroes here, Mark Morgan.
Gary, thank you very much. Mike Rozier, Heisman Trophy winner for Nebraska back in 1983. You told me moments ago this is the first OU-Nebraska game you've attended since you left school. Why?
Yes, it is. I don't get back here that often, you know. I do like autograph speaking engagements and stuff like that back here, but now as far as football games, no.
We're going to watch this play and come right back.
He's watching this one. This is going to bring up a 3rd down and 4. Shift it to the strong side. The linebackers adjust. Marlon Lucky is in there on the carry. Dives ahead. Not close to the first down, though. And they put everybody over there to block. Rufus Alexander on the hit. Mark.
Mike, why is this rivalry such a big deal? Why does it mean so much to these two schools?
It's a big game. Since I've been in high school, number of Oklahoma and Nebraska doing Thanksgiving games, I used to watch them back when I was a kid. And since I got here in Nebraska, it's a big rivalry game. I don't care whoever's losing this year, whatever, it's a big rivalry game. Everybody gets up for this game.
One final thought. You ran for over 2,100 yards and scored 29 touchdowns in 1983. What's your fondest memory of that season?
Win the Heisman Trophy, I guess, and give it to my mom.
Oh, cool. And she still has it?
Yes, she does.
Great to see you. Enjoy the game.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, mercy. That coverage, that ball is free down there at the 1-yard line as Terry Green got back on a 43-yard kick by Sam Cole, but more importantly, did they stop it or not? You see it was touched 2 or 3 times down there at the 1-yard line. They're going to bring it out.
Here's the key. In college football, it's where the ball is. It did look like it broke the plane to me. In the NFL, the ball can break the plane as long as it doesn't touch in the end zone. In college, it's does the ball break the plane? Let's see if it does. It's tough to tell from that angle.
It would have been the nose of the football if anything got over that line.
Yeah.
Great effort down there by Nebraska to try and hold that football, but not going to happen. It'll come back out to the 20 as they say it did break the plane. It'll be a first down and a 10.
And you also, the player can be in the end zone as well. It's only the football. In the NFL, the body can't be in there. That's why guys have to dive in to try to bat it out.
They work on the quarterback option. The handoff goes straight ahead. A gain of about 4 yards. Peterson back in, and Daniel Bullocks is going to do a lot of keying on Peterson today. Those two will meet up again.
You know, meeting Bullocks yesterday, of course, his twin brother Josh now is starting safety for the New Orleans Saints, but he was a lot bigger than I expected him. He's very broad through his shoulders. He's built almost like a smallish linebacker. Big hands, big strong guy, runs very well, but very physical around the line of scrimmage for Kevin Cosgrove.
Reynolds and Peterson are both back there, changing the play. Reynolds turns around to tell Peterson something in the backfield, and Glaces and Wilson are outflanked. Looking to the right side, that'll be caught, and not much of a gain. Travis Wilson, who hangs on to that one, will have 9, and it will be enough for the first down. So we get to the first down marker and turn. 1st and 10.
Well, it is obvious that Chuck Long, the offensive coordinator, and Bob Stoops, the head coach, have started to get a lot more comfortable with their freshman quarterback, Bomar. Earlier in the year, I mean, there was halves where they wouldn't even throw the ball. And they were fighting, of course, with Adrian Peterson's injury, but with the wind at their back, they're letting this young man play in a hostile environment.
Ewan Jones has come in. Bomar looking deep down the near side and battle for it at the 30-yard line as Wilson got tied up with Bowman. Zachary Bowman, who's had an interception, broke it up.
Boy, Bowman played that ball perfectly. And I like the fact that the official didn't throw a flag on this one. There's a lot of contact, but Bowman clearly making a play on the ball, never got run by. He has the position there. If anything, Bomar needs to see that Bowman's over the top and throw that underneath. You can drill that ball. You don't have to throw the fade over the top every time. You can drill it on the backside shoulder receiver. That's the only way you could have made a play.
He had a 2nd down and 10. Bomar coming into this game, 52% completion. He has thrown 7 interceptions, though, and 4 TD. The carry will bring the ball up to about the 36-yard line. Jones on the carry. He did not play against Baylor either. Jones was suspended for that game, so he makes his return in the Oklahoma backfield.
And here's where you're going to see the difference. At the beginning of the game, we said for Nebraska to know the personnel. Off comes the downhill runner in Peterson. In comes Kewan Jones. They go into the shotgun, and it becomes that little sideways handoff or quarterback keeper. Nebraska did a good job knowing that it's not going to be a downhill run and defended it.
Oklahoma 0 for 1 in 3rd down conversions with a 3rd and 9 here. We'll go to that shotgun. 3 receivers sent to the near side. Bomar under pressure, trying to turn it, gets away up to the 40-yard line and driven hard out of bounds. 4-yard gain. McEwen over there on the hit to knock him away with Mohammed chasing from behind.
Young quarterbacks, great job by Bomar. He's not quite the athlete that Paul Thompson was at quarterback, but he can run. But he might want to take a dive there because we met McEwen yesterday. I don't know how much this quarterback wants to be running into the middle linebacker of Nebraska.
McEwen is one of the great characters.
Oh, he was incredible.
Of college football. We hope we'll have a chance to show you some of the interview we did with him yesterday. Freebie is back to do the kicking. Terrence Nunn, who's an outstanding returner, is all the way back at the 15-yard line. Wind at his back, gets it high, wants to use that wind. Nunn's driven all the way back and will let that one go. Great hang time on it. A 60-yard kick. We talked about the effect the wind might have in this game. So far, it has done that for and against the punters.
Here goes Keith Jackson, the tight end, on a reverse. Gets a block on the corner and breaks into the open. It's now a foot race. He's got an open field in front of him. He's running out of gas. He scores.
That was Keith Jackson on Keith Jackson.
Yeah, I love when Keith Jackson talks in the third person. It's self-importance.
He was running out of gas, but he get in there anyway. Nebraska's only had 13 yards in their first 3 possessions. They get the 1st and 10 at the 20 to try it again over the middle. That is going to be caught. Nice play. It'll only be about a 3-yard gain as it had a Terrence Nunn reaching out, had the defender's arm. Zach Latimer right in there with the football, but he held on to it.
You know, going back to Keith Jackson, the football player, not the announcer, one of the smartest players of understanding the passing game. And you wouldn't think guys coming from these 2 schools would really know the passing game, but a buddy of mine played with him in Green Bay and said he knew exactly where to set down, and he could even put himself in zones where the quarterback had to throw it to him instead of another receiver so that he could make the play.
He's got Ross in the backfield on the carry, nowhere. A loss at the 20-yard line. They are getting into the backfield. Dvorak, we said, is going to be in there a lot, and he was again.
One thing that Bill Callahan has been working very hard on is balancing up his play calling between run and pass. Of course, Nebraska historically has been very heavily run, and they've been very good this year, and of course Corey Ross helps with that. But today, because of the wind in his face, he's got to run the ball. There's just too much wind to take a risk, because you just get a feeling 2 evenly matched teams, a turnover is going to be the difference in this one.
Back into the pocket, they run the screen. What a read. Ross caught it and went absolutely nowhere. Dvorak again put the hit on. That's 2 in a row. It will be a loss, and the Sooner defense, which is 3rd in the nation against rushings, putting the heat on.
Great read by Dvorak. This guy, you know, he was suspended last year, had some alcohol and anger issues that they had to get sorted out. Almost was not allowed back on the team. The Big 12 actually voted not to let him back. The NCAA overruled him and gave him a hardship year, and he's making the most of an extra senior year at Oklahoma.
Rankins will be back. Cole will do the punting again. He's got to put that one into the wind. He does, and he gets another great kickoff at the 37-yard line. Rankins trying to spin away and is going to get up to about the 44-yard line. Dane Todd on the hit. How about staying in school for this young man who's had a lot of ups and downs? We asked him about it.
Because I didn't want to leave Oklahoma, you know, the guy who got kicked off the team. I wanted to leave Oklahoma with a legacy and, you know, be one of the greats, and 20 years come back with my little kids and show my grandkids me up on the wall and show them, you know, the things that I had done and teams I'd played for. And, you know, you get kicked off the team and you just kind of get banished from the program. You can't do those kind of things.
And he is back, and as he himself said, he's playing the best football that he has ever played. That will be carried to the 47-yard line as Adrian Peterson then runs into Titus Adams, the senior 300-pounder, takes him down there after a 2-yard gain.
Dvorak, you know, yesterday when we sat down with him, he was so honest. And when you talked to Bob Stoops about letting him back on, when they kicked him off the team, he was gone. They were not going to bring him back. They had decided that he just had some issues. He needed to go settle somewhere else. And he came back and asked Coach if he'd come back. He'd gone through all of the programs that were required of the university, and they figured they'd give him another chance. And he's really not just played well, but he's become a true leader and just respecting the game more and what he has.
Out of bounds goes Malcolm Kelly on the reception. It'll be an 8-yard gain as Courtney Grigsby took him out. You saw the marker was right there where he stepped out of bounds. And it is going to be enough for the first down, so Oklahoma will move into Nebraska territory.
Yeah, talking to Bill Callahan yesterday, the first receiver out of his mouth that he was worried about for Oklahoma was Malcolm Kelly, a true freshman who made an amazing one-handed catch against Baylor with, I believe, not even a toe, but maybe a toenail out of bounds that may have put them in to field goal range to win it in regulation. Of course, they went on to win in overtime, but this is 6'4" guy who can go up and get the ball.
First down and 10, run it out of the backfield, flag down, and they'll stop the play. That one before the snap, so they'll bring that one back, and you can see they are not hesitating to hand the football off to Adrian Peterson, who scored on the first series.
Dead ball. Ball start. Offense. Number 79. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Steve Juszczyk with the call, heading up the crew here today, the referee.
And Bob Stoops has been going crazy with the youth on this team. You know, everyone's talking about this team being down. They have 3 losses this year, and the teams that they've lost to have combined 1 loss. That's TCU, UCLA, and Texas, of course, undefeated. But just little tiny mistakes. Last weekend against Baylor, they had a Joe John Finley, the tight end, jumped off sides down on the 1. They had to settle for a field goal instead of a touchdown. That probably would have put the game away. Just little tiny mistakes from the youth.
First down and 15, maybe checking this one up along the line of scrimmage. You see the blitz is on. May have read that. Goes over the middle. That'll be complete at the 30-yard line for a first down. Malcolm Kelly. Kelly got in front of Courtney Grigsby and hauled that one in. And a great check at the line for a 21-yard gain.
You know, you asked Coach Stoops about the change at quarterback. You said, Coach, I know it was a few weeks ago, but why the change? And he had a great answer. He said, you know, Bomar and Paul Thompson were so close through spring and through the fall, but it was that close and Bomar hadn't played yet. So we figured for upside potential and going on in the program and the ability of Bomar that we've seen, and that's what the coaches saw. That's a great throw. If he can settle in and become that type of quarterback, it starts to make sense why they made this choice.
Bomar guns that one off to the side. Not a lot of room, though. Again, Malcolm Kelly, who obviously is becoming a favorite receiver, hauls that one in for a 3-yard gain. Tomorrow night, 8:30 on ESPN, you will see the Bills take on the Patriots. Teddy Bruschi is going to make his return months after suffering from a stroke. Kind of a surprise. He's going to be back on a Monday Night Football at 9 Eastern ABC. Alan John, they will be heading to Pittsburgh, as you'll see the Ravens going up against Pittsburgh. Good drive here by Oklahoma. Peterson scored on their first drive. They get the second down and 8 with the ball at the 28-yard line of Nebraska. Nebraska looking to the near side to shut it down in the middle, forcing him outside. He can't get anywhere. Good work. Peterson just had nowhere to go. Tried to find a hole, and they strung that out down the line. We'll check in again with John Saunders. John.
Well, Gary, in the Taco Bell update, Lawrence Maroney with a couple of big runs got Minnesota going and on the board, but then they had to kick the ball off to Ted Ginn. He fields it on the goal line and takes off one 100 yards untouched. You see the speed. He's been a great playmaker today. Ohio State leading Minnesota 17-7.
Can't go any further than that, John, in the old football field. All right, a big third down here. Bummer looking to the sideline. That's going to be intercepted. No, incomplete as it bounced away. Good chance for Green on that. A converted running back who knocked that one down. That's the second big play that he's been involved in.
Well, and it's a young quarterback that you have to take the bad with the good. He just does not see the underneath coverage as the receiver goes out. He has to know that they have it layered. It's a bracket. It's an over-under bracket. He does not recognize the coverage and makes a horrible throw.
This is going to be a 44-yard field goal attempt by Garrett Hartley. He had a 52-yarder against Texas. He's got the wind with him here, and it is off to the right, no good. So Hartley does not convert. He is now 12 out of 18 in field goal kicking this season. A career high 3 for 3 last week against Baylor. Earned him some honors for special teams, but this one is wide.
And Bomar's going to run over there and pick up the phone and talk to old Chuck Long. Of course, Chuck Long played with Bob Stoops at Iowa. Go right to the headsets. The coach wants to talk to you. Just didn't recognize the coverage, and that's one of the things that they've really been working on him. You know, he had so much success in high school, and he's still trying to make every throw and every play. He has to realize sometimes it's better just to throw it away and live for the next play.
See if Nebraska can get their offense going here, as it has been a struggle so far today for this team, which has struggled offensively all season long. Zach Taylor under center, second man through 30. Ross pounding it, gets up to the 35-yard line. Reggie Smith after an 8-yard gain on the tackle.
Corey Ross was the only back last year to run for over 100 yards against Oklahoma, at 130 yards rushing. And he's that 5'6", 195-pound guy. He's so diverse in this offense. Looks like we have a timeout for Nebraska, but this guy's so diverse in this West Coast offense, can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Oklahoma's going to use the timeout. They've got the lead. Sea of Red here in Lincoln, 77,438, the 274th consecutive sellout, an NCAA record extended again.
Well, Bob Stoops took that timeout hoping to force Nebraska to punt into the wind one more time before this first quarter runs out and they flop halves, but they flop sides, excuse me. But when you pick up 8 yards on that first down, I think you got to save that timeout. I don't know that you're going to get what you want when it's 2nd and 2.
All right, we'll see what they do with it here, whether or not, in fact, they can get that kick, depending on what the offense does right here. Zach Taylor, whose parents, both of whom involved in Oklahoma football. Now here he is playing quarterback for Nebraska. Mom and Dad on hand watching this game, and of course cheering for the blood that runs thicker than the colors. And there'll be no gain on that one. Boy, what a swarming defense we have seen so far. Zach Latimer, who leads the team in solo tackles, moved in on the hit. There's nowhere to run here.
And Oklahoma takes another timeout. Boy, in a game that you get a feeling is going to be this tight, do you really want to waste timeouts? I mean, Cook has already kicked the ball into the wind effectively. The first one was okay. The second one was a great kick. So I just don't know how much you're gaining by giving away 2 of your timeouts here with 57 seconds left in the first quarter.
That's what they have done, and with 57 seconds left to go, we'll see whether it prevails or not. Set the stage on this one, Ed, for what matters here. These two teams, of course, in rivalries generally where national titles have been up for grabs. It's not the case this year, but both of these teams hope to have bowl bids, and certainly, at least for Nebraska, the hope that maybe a Big 12 championship game can be part of it.
Yeah, the Big 12 North is going to take a while to sort itself out. Colorado, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas State, all of the teams are still in it. So Nebraska can't stub their toe again. One more loss in the Big 12, and I think Nebraska is probably out of the race, but right now they're still in the thick of it.
On this rivalry, Bob Stoops, what do you think?
I think it's important that our players understand our traditions and history, the great players, coaches before them, and what has happened and how they won Big 8 championships or Big 12 and how they, and in these games, how they perform. So I think it's part of being at Oklahoma or being at Nebraska that you understand that this is what's been before you, this is how this has been played.
Both of these coaches have used that this week. A 3rd down and a 4. They have not converted in 3rd downs yet. 0 for 3 over the middle. And Mama, does he want that one back? He had that right in his hands. Oyadagecho could have run probably to the end zone without anybody touching him, and he just couldn't hang on.
Well, and Taylor does not see the corner coming back. Onyenegecha does a great job of backing off. He's got the swing route in the flat, but all he did was peek back in and saw Zach Taylor, and the wind slowed that ball down long enough. That's a catch he's got to make, though.
Onyenegecha with the opportunity. Not so, but it does bring up that punt. They wanted the punt to have to go into the wind, and that's exactly what it's going to be. The kick by Coe, a line drive shot, handled at the 34-yard line. Rankins trying to find some room. That's a fine return. He gets it up to the 45-yard line. Rankins didn't have a lot of running room there, but was able, after a 34-yard kick, to come away with 11 yards before Dane Todd took him down.
Well, now let's see if Oklahoma can take advantage of using those 2 timeouts.
Let's take a look at our drive summary presented by Drive Insurance from Progressive.
For Oklahoma, the missed field goal on the last one, the touchdown with the finish by Adrian Peterson. But now with 40 seconds left, they wanted to get a punt into the wind and then the wind at their back. And so those 2 timeouts, if they don't get something out of this drive, I think they were a waste.
Work with the 1 setback, Peterson. Peterson trying to get to midfield, will be shy of it by a couple of yards. A gain of 3. Daniel Bullock's keying on him, again moves in on the hit.
Well, if you're going to use the timeout to get the wind at your back,
why not use another one?
Yeah, don't you think or shouldn't you throw it on 1st down?
Put it on the ground.
Yeah, you're about to go into a spot where you're not going to be able to throw it very effectively, especially with a young quarterback who's not used to a bunch of different types of environments early in his career. I'd have to throw one with this wind at my back.
Peterson, 5 carries, 46 yards, and a TD in this game. They will go to the air here on the comeback, incomplete. Well, the receiver was turning back, Wilson, and the throw went down the line. That's going to do it here in the first quarter. A couple of teams offensively having some problems here. Oklahoma got theirs from Peterson. We'll be back. More college football after a word from our ABC stations.
College football on ABC Sports Championship Television.
82nd meeting in this series. Oklahoma leads it with 41 wins, 37 losses, and 3 ties. Oklahoma won it in Norman last year by a score of 30-3, and they've got the 7-0 lead early in this game on the Peterson run.
And now you've got a young quarterback going into the wind. The timeout's used to try to change some of the field position. And now you have your midfield, but you just have to be very aware of this wind. It is definitely a factor into Oklahoma's face.
Testing up to 35 miles an hour. They'll run this one out of the gun with Jones. You saw the man in motion, set up near side. Good run up to the 39-yard line as it's taken by J.D. Runnels for an 11-yard gain.
And Runnels, a guy who really has become a big part of this offense. You know, he's such a tremendous blocker. But he played tight end and a little bit of wide receiver actually in high school. And with Adrian Peterson being down so much, they've had to diversify this attack, and they found out, well, wait a minute, this guy's got really good hands. He's good in the open field. And that was a great call by Chuck Long, a very easy throw, and Nebraska not expecting a 240-pound fullback to get a screen.
Down on the field, Olugdorandro. Looks like they're working on the knee on that one, as he may have gotten that one twisted at about the 40-yard line. He's second on the chart at that nose tackle position, junior.
Here's 54 right here. And this defensive line for Nebraska has been so very good. Oh, it looks like when he went to spin up, his weight continued, and maybe he tweaked his ankle as he would spin up. He looked fine on the play, but it was when he was bouncing up that it looked like maybe his leg gave a little bit.
He'll be coming out of there. Both of these teams have used a lot of players this year. Both are in a rebuilding process, have a lot of young freshmen who are getting playing time. So you'll see both offensively and defensively a number of position changes as we go along here.
And a lot has been talked about the change of philosophy offensively. Well, Kevin Cosgrove came in, longtime defensive coordinator at Wisconsin. Bill Callahan and Kevin Cosgrove have been friends since high school. They actually went to Illinois Benedictine together for a little while, and Cosgrove went through a little bit of a chemistry problem last year. It was the third new coordinator in 3 years. And when we were talking yesterday to Bullocks, he was saying that, some guys at the end of last year were kind of doing their own thing. And that's changed around people buying into the system. This guy's been one of the best defensive coordinators over the last 10 or 15 years in all of college football. So once the players started figuring out, wait a minute, yeah, this guy does know what he's talking about, they bought in, and he said, I've noticed that they fight back a lot faster from adversity. They bought in, they'll fight back. They're a little more competitive throughout the game this year.
Sea of Red chanting for their defense to get it going. It's going to be a first down and 10 on the handoff to the 40, and that's maybe down to the 39-yard line. Jones on the carry. Garrica moved in and put the hit on. That'll be a 2-yard gain. This great rivalry, great to have you with us here on ABC in Lincoln as Oklahoma and Nebraska go at it. We talked with a lot of these youngsters who are involved in this game, these young men who know that it's a chance to become a part of some great history. Peterson, the 36-yard TD run, is the only score on the board. Nebraska, you see 19 yards total. They haven't been able to get the offense going, and another sack. And this time it's going to be Nebraska getting into the backfield. They'd seen enough of it coming the other way. Garrica has had 8 sacks as he moved in. Bo Rude in there to help out as he pushed the quarterback back.
Well, here's Rude right here. Somebody blew an assignment. You've got 1, 2, 3 blockers for Oklahoma, and nobody comes down. That's just flat not knowing who to block, not knowing who's coming, and Rude finishes it, but it's a mistake up front by the right side of that offensive line, Quinn and Mesner, not knowing when to come down and pick up the blitzing linebacker.
That is the nation-leading 39th quarterback sack for the Husker defense, and brings up long yardage, 3rd and 14 to the near side. It's completed, and not enough for the first down despite the stretch put on by Malcolm Kelly. He looks like he's going to be a little shy, a 13-yard gain as he tried to turn and run, but there was nowhere to go. Depend on the mark here, and they want to bring the chains in, so we'll see whether or not he had enough.
Well, I'm pretty sure we all know what's going to happen. There was a holding call missed. I mean, that was an absolute tackle by Kelvin Shashan. And John Blake, who's the former OU head coach, now the defensive line coach for Nebraska, was laughing the other day when someone pointed out, you lead the nation in sacks, yet you only have 1 holding call on you all year. Well, they missed a big one there.
You can get away with it. It's a good deal if you're playing in that line.
Hey, listen, it's only a hold if they throw a penalty flag.
There you see what's needed. It's just that far.
Yep. Well, with this wind, you're not going to be kicking any field goals. So line it up, guys. Oh yeah, that's just an absolute takedown. I think that's Brandenburg, the linebacker, got right by Shashan, and that's the second time in a row, though, Gary, that they just missed the assignment on a blitzing linebacker.
Now we are going to get a 4th down and less than 1. Oklahoma has converted 4th down 6 out of 9, including their last 4 consecutive 4th down conversion attempts.
I'm always a fan of the quarterback sneak. Do not get fancy and wait. There you go.
Straight ahead, only needed an inch. He'll get it up over that 30-yard line, and that will be enough for the first down.
And the reason I say that is that Nebraska is going to be low to the ground and shooting through the gaps. If you do something late and you miss a block, we've already seen 2 missed blocks in the last 2 plays, and you have a tackle for a loss. So don't even mess with it. Bomar doing a good job of finishing it. At first, his first move, he didn't have it, but continued to lean forward.
Bomar gets the first down. Good field position now for Oklahoma as they drive at the 30-yard line of Nebraska. 1st and 10. Adrian Peterson is in the backfield. Runnels, you saw in motion. That's Peterson to the 30, 25, and out of bounds near the 20-yard line. And Adrian Peterson is having the kind of day that we saw Adrian Peterson have last year. That'll be a 9-yard gain. Near the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
Adrian Peterson showing you some of the flashes from last year. He's still not 100% though. He's missing just that little tiny burst that he normally has. And of course, he's averaging almost 10 yards per carry. So imagine if he was 100%.
Got enough for the first down and a 10. Ball spotted at the 19-yard line. Bomar looking back again. Peterson, this time it's red, and he's going to be thrown for a loss. About 1 yard back probably when they get done spotting here. Let's check in and see what's going on in other ball games, Florida included. John.
Gary, Miami facing North Carolina. Miami in those throwback, bad snap. Watch the ball go to the 1 yard line where Eric Winston kicks it out. That's a penalty because the ball was not in the end zone. North Carolina declines it, says let's take the safety. They get it and lead Miami 9-7.
North Carolina is impossible to figure out. They beat Virginia last week 7-5. And they got blown out by Louisville.
Bomar delivers at the 15-yard line. And a turn and a gain of a couple of yards by Malcolm Kelly after the reception. It'll be an 8-yard gain. Bomar and Kelly are teaming up here in this game for some pretty good work. 5 receptions so far for Kelly.
Chuck Long was telling us the other day that it's been fun because they do have so many young receivers. Of course, Travis Wilson, a senior, playing very well today, but Malcolm Kelly, a true freshman, and Bomar, a redshirt freshman. And he's starting to see them working together. You know, last week Joaquin Iglesias had the touchdown catch against Baylor in overtime to win on a route that they hadn't run since the summer. Chuck Long dialed it up and figured they'd get it, and it was good recall, and he said, I'm starting to see the maturation of some of these young players.
Kelly only had 8 receptions coming into this game. He's got 5 here. Bomar, quarterback, keep one man to beat down to the 5, and he'll be taken down on the roll tackle at the 2-yard line. Quarterback draw that time. Good work by Jones in front of him, opening up the hole, an 11-yard gain.
Well, and this time, Bo Root comes on a blitz, and they pick him up. We saw him get missed on the last one, and the left guard does a good job of coming down inside Shashawn, and it was a good block, not a great block, an effective block by Kewan Jones, and Bomar gets through the leg tackle to pick up the first down.
See 9 first downs, Oklahoma, none for Nebraska. Peterson and Runnels are both in the backfield. Peterson deep will get the carry. Peterson, his second touchdown for the Sooners. Little help from Joseph and Shashawn up front, who opened an enormous hole for the touchdown run.
Well, this again, we've shown the runs out of the shotgun, how they kind of go sideways. When number 28's in the game, he's going to run on a straight.
So it's Oklahoma putting the touchdown on in a drive that went 12 plays, 55 yards, and took 4-13. And Peterson has scored 2 touchdowns in this game. And there was some question, we talked to the coaches this week about whether or not to hold Peterson out again, as they did last week. They didn't.
This is just track running, the zone play. And he, you know, if there's nothing there, he'll cut back. But that lane is just huge. And this is different than what you'd normally see. Ickes gets sucked to the inside. He's got to fill that gap. But it's just straight track running, a little different than what the other backs can do. When Jones is in there, or Gutierrez, you're going to see some more side-to-side stuff. But when Peterson's in there, and we saw it last year, that play that he just ran, I would bet you 70% of his 1,925 yards rushing came off of that off-tackle, outside zone stretch play.
You see the difference with the injury this year, as he was 6th last year in the NCAA in rushing and all the way down to 79th. But boy, today he looks more like that guy that finished 6th. Green and Marlon Lucky. That one is going to be bounced. That's a tough one to handle. Picked up at the 15, 25, 30. Nebraska's got some room on the far side. Lucky couldn't make the turn, but a great effort to get near midfield. Garrett Hartley doing the kicking, but a 34-yard return, and Hartley had to come in as the kicker and take him down.
Lucky, a true freshman out of North Hollywood, California, and Hartley does a really good job. It looked like he was going to have the angle on him, and you don't expect a kicker to use the sideline that well. A lot of time the kicker doesn't understand angles very well, and that was a very good tackle by a guy you wouldn't expect to be able to make that kind of play.
Now Nebraska wants to get it going. All 5 of their possessions have been 3 and out with a punt. Another great field position start here. Little room downfield, Taylor, and that's going to be a first down and more. Take it down to the 35-yard line. Putting the ball in the air for Nate Swift, who had 9 receptions against Missouri last week. A 13-yard gain.
Well, Nebraska fans cheering because they finally get to see a little bit of the offense that they expect to see.
And a first down.
Yeah.
Those have not come here in this football game.
Well, we can't. The equalizer for Oklahoma on that drive into the wind, of course, was one of the best running backs in college football, even with a half of a bum ankle.
Lucky in the backfield goes in motion on the first down at 10. Taylor back into the pocket. He'll step up. Doesn't want to carry a lot, but he will here. 30, 25. Driven out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Rufus Alexander after an 18-yard gain by Zach Taylor.
All deep routes. And when we were talking this week to Jay Norvell, the offensive coordinator for Bill Callahan, he said, we've noticed in the last 4 games that Oklahoma's playing a lot more man coverage underneath, and because there's man coverage to the left side, when Taylor goes to take off, that entire side is collapsed because all his receivers are running vertical routes. That's why he had so much room.
Now the Husker offense for the first time showing some life. Zach Taylor, the junior quarterback, first-year starter, getting that first down in this series on a second. And a little juke step, but nowhere to go with that one. He is Lucky. A couple of yards. Reggie Smith brought him down. Let's check in with John Saunders. John.
Yeah, remember a year ago North Carolina upended Miami? Well, they're at it again, this time on the road. It's Ronnie McGill from 7 yards out, busts his way across, and North Carolina with those 2 points on the safety, now a 16-7 lead with a lot of time left in the first half.
Miami not only looking like South Florida because of the throwbacks, it looks like they're playing like South Florida as well.
They load it to the right side on the overload. A 2nd down and 8, and a timeout will be taken as Nebraska wants it. They did not like what they saw in the defensive set from Oklahoma. Huskers driving. We'll see if they can take it in when we come back. Lincoln in the sea of red, and it certainly is that here today. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Well, Adrian Peterson, they said they've kind of been going by warm-up to warm-up. Last week against Baylor did not look very good, so they actually sat him, and it's paid off this week. He had the best week of practice since he hurt his ankle back on October 1st, and he's running very well.
Big rush put on and a big loss as Rufus Alexander, who leads them in tackles coming into this game, throws him for a loss of 8. Zach Taylor never had time to look up.
Well, both linebackers are coming into the A-gap, and we've already seen Oklahoma with confusion. You have to block inside out. And that's actually the running back, Corey Ross, trying to get by the quarterback to get into that A-gap. I've always thought, let the running backs block outside guys. Bring your big guys down inside. They're closer to the quarterback.
3rd down and 16. Long way to go to get the first down, and he's not going to get close, and he is going to get pummeled for the effort. Zach Latimer, after a 3-yard gain, takes Zach Taylor down. So they do not move it any closer, and Oklahoma's got a player down on the field. Now time for the Aflac Trivia question this week. Who were the head coaches at Oklahoma after Barry Switzer and before Bob Stoops?
I'll give you a hint on 2 of the 3. One of them's here, and one of them coaches at Florida Atlantic University.
Hint, hint?
Yeah, there's a visual cue.
Like to throw the visual clue.
Dvorak came off holding his left arm, and it had that kind of dangling feel look to it.
Zach Latimer is the Sooner linebacker who is down on the field.
Ooh, head to head. That happens so often. You know, defensive guys, they just constantly work on pursue to the ball, and just trying to get there and finish off the tackle, maybe get some type of turnover, and that's just a really bad head-to-head collision by 2 guys, especially a 300-pounder going full speed towards Latimer.
Well, Nebraska got into the red zone, but they got a 4th down and 12 coming up, trailing 14-0. We'll be right back. Nebraska, Latimer getting up and walking off under his own. will, and thank goodness for that. He took a shot. You see him pointing to the neck. A 40-yard field goal attempt coming up here. Congdon is out to do the kicking. He's got the wind at his back, punches that one up, and that one is good. So Nebraska gets on the board. They are 24-31 getting into the red zone now, and have scored 13 of the last 14 times they've been there, and he's made 7 straight. And Nebraska needed that just to start feeling something about the offense in this game.
And Congdon, one of the guys that, when the hire was made, that Bill Callahan was brought here, a lot of people thought, oh, you're going to get an NFL guy. What does he know about college? Well, Bill Callahan spent a lot of years at the college level, and everybody who knew, especially when he was at Wisconsin, that he was one of the best recruiters in the country. I mean, I've seen ratings that had all-time best recruiters, and they had him in the top 50. We've already seen Marlon Lucky, a young man out of California that's playing running back, and Congdon out of San Diego, California. So they're starting to get some of the work from Bill Callahan paying off. And the first class they got, they only had 2 weeks to sign it, and they still salvaged it. This class, a lot of talent. You're going to see a lot of freshmen, true freshmen and redshirt freshmen on the field today because of the efforts of Bill Callahan and his staff in recruiting.
Trying to keep some of these players on hand has been one of the problems with a change in the offense, changing coaches. A number of players chose for different reasons to leave, and so they've had over the last 2 years to insert a lot of new names into both the offensive defensive structures that are changing structures. So that's made it doubly difficult. So that's what they are up against here. And now they're up against Oklahoma in a 14-3 lead.
And now Lucy knocks the ball off the tee.
Charlie Brown has told her over and over again, do not knock it off, please.
It's almost hard to put into context how much the culture had to change here. The practice habits, guys running routes, finishing. Remember, these receivers for 30 years, 30, 40 years, all they did was block all practice for 4 or 5 yards. Now they have them not only catching 5-yard slants, but running them, taking them 50 yards the length of the field. They've had to change so much since Bill Callahan got here.
Jake Wesh is going to do the kicking. He normally does not, and had it held so that it would not come off the tee, and that one's going to be in the end zone, and there it will be down. It will come up to the 20. Talking about the change in the culture, Bill Callahan, and why it's happening in college football.
In transition, there's a common ground of trust that you've got to earn and that you've got to build. And as a player and as a coach, I can see, it takes time, and it's a patient process in a very impatient profession. So that's probably that in a nutshell. I think it took a little time for coaches and players to come together and get a good understanding philosophically of where we wanted to go.
I love the honesty of both him and Kevin Cosgrove, that at points last year, the players just flat weren't buying into it.
Yep.
And you just get a sense, and we were out of practice the other day, this is a whole different world they're dealing in now.
First down and 10 over the 25-yard line, down to the 30. Watch him go, one man to beat midfield. Peterson is on his way if he can keep the gas going, and he can't. But he's down to the 20-yard line. Courtney Grigsby cutting him down, but Peterson had some room. And Grigsby, after a 59-yard gain, made the touchdown-saving stop.
Well, we just saw a touchdown a moment ago on this run, and this is just the opposite. It's just the track zone. Everybody's just going to work it. And what's happening is Nebraska is not getting anybody into that inside lane. Bullocks does a bad job of closing the distance. The safety who's left, you cannot go sideways against this guy. He is entirely too strong in his lower body to try to go catch him. You need to go meet him in the hole. As he comes downhill, you've got to go get him, or you're going to have a lot of runs like that.
Bomar, Reynolds moves across in front of him. The carry over the 20-yard line is made by Jones. And that'll be a 3-yard gain. For Peterson now, he has gone over the 100-yard rushing mark in the first half. 116 yards. He has had 100-yard plus games in 12 of the 19 he had played. Coming into today's game, he's added another.
And notice the difference in how they run the ball. Jones comes in and they do that little handoff from the shotgun. Peterson's back in. Let's go to the eye. J.D. Reynolds goes over to play a little wing right now, but it's just more power running when 28's in there.
Second down and 7 as he is again. This time they key on him and get him down at about the 18 after a gain of 1. Titus Adams, a senior, moved in on the hit. All right, let's take a look at our Aflac trivia question and answer. The head coaches at Oklahoma, after Barry Switzer and before Bob Stoops. Answer is.
Well, it was a difficult time, and so we came up with this question. I think a lot of people forgot that Howard Schnellenberger came in for 1 year. Of course, Schnellenberger with all that success at Miami, and John Blake, who's now moved on and become the defensive line coach for Nebraska.
3rd down and 6 for Oklahoma. After that big run. 3rd down conversions, 2 out of 5 in the ball game. Omar looking into the middle. It'll be incomplete as receiver coming in from the left slot. Stopped running. No, Iglesias, who was playing that left slot, he pulled up and the ball was in front of him.
He went to make a cut. You know, they've got that field turf with the little pebbles, the little rubber pebbles in there. And Oklahoma came over here yesterday to try out this turf. And it's a little different. It's a very consistent surface, but until you're used to it, sometimes you have to learn how to make those cuts.
The sophomore, Garrett Hartley, will be on to try for the field goal. Hartley's got the wind in his face. He missed from 44. This one is going to be a 35-yard attempt. Cody Freeby puts it down. It's going to get blocked. And it'll be taken over by Nebraska. So they shut that one down. The defense getting in there. Brandon Rigoni is a strong safety backup. And punter moved in. Zach Potter both got through.
Well, you go back to the Pittsburgh game, and Nebraska had 2 blocked field goals in that game, including one by Adam Ickes to end the game. And this time, a great push, and you've got to think that Hartley is trying to drive this ball because of the wind. Gary, we've been talking about it the entire game. Oh, I don't know. That's just great push on the left side of the offensive line. I don't even know if Hartley would have got this up with this ball. What a wonderful, wonderful job on the left side of that offensive line.
Nebraska takes it back 1st and 10. Quarterback still has it, looking upfield. Nobody out in front of him and incomplete. He could have run that for 20 yards if he'd wanted to, but Zach Taylor wanted to get it downfield, and they'll get nothing out of it. He had faked out the entire linebacking squad and the strong safety on the defense of Oklahoma. But for naught. He'll come back with a 2nd down and 10. Bill Callahan just shaking his head over there as there was a lot of room for Zach Taylor. It'll bring up the 2nd and 10 with the 2 receivers split wide to the right side. Again the fake. Again that way. Again they back up on coverage. He throws to the opposite side. Incomplete. He had a receiver open, Terrence Nunn, but he couldn't throw it far enough. And DJ Wolf knocked it down. Yet Nunn had gotten behind the receiver, but too far away.
And this crowd is really getting restless, Gary.
Yep.
They're not happy with what's going on. Right now, every single pass pattern is deep. And I think they're just thinking, guys, you know, we know it's, and trust me, Nebraska fans know, it's a young secondary, but let's work the field a little bit. Everything doesn't have to be vertical. And right now, Zach Taylor has to run out of the pocket, and that was not a good decision by him to go all the way across the field.
0 for 6 3rd down conversions. Taylor 4 out of 8 passing, and that one's going to get deflected and knocked down. And it's incomplete, and the Bluebirds are out here at home in Lincoln, Nebraska. They do not like this offense that they're seeing because there hasn't been much to it today.
Well, I think going into the wind to the start gave them no rhythm. I just don't think that this offense has found any rhythm, and it just seems to me that, you know, the West Coast offense is built on short slants and everything else. Get the ball out quickly, and right now it's just taking entirely too long for these pass plays to develop.
Going to put this with the wind to his back on this 4th and long yardage. The punt will come from the 10-yard line. Holmes, 23, 25, up to the 30, 35, and Oklahoma will get good field position at the 40-yard line. Bo Rudd moved in with a hit, a 58-yard punt, 19-yard return. Oklahoma on top, playing here in Nebraska.
1st down and 10 to go. Here's a hand up to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stuntz. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out there. 40. It is Eric Crouch. 15, 10, 5 touchdown. Yes!
Stunts. Players on both these teams have been watching videos like that all week. Bill Callahan was running them here in Nebraska on the board during practice sessions when the team was taking a break. Just trying to inculcate these players with a history and a chance for them to be part, maybe, of a video replay like that. Oklahoma's got the football on a 1st down and 10, a reverse pitch. How about that one? That is Iglesias up to the 50. Iglesias gets spun around and may have a 1st down after all of that. Zachary Bowman went over there to get him. That is a play. If you mess up on that pitch, there's nobody back there to help out on a fumble.
Well, you go back to that 0-1 game when Stunts throws the ball back to Eric Crouch. Oklahoma tried the same play later in the game and didn't make it. And so, of course, Chuck Long's probably listening to the broadcast. He saw that, you know, this might be the time to run the reverse. They just showed the black flash play. Let's get this Iglesias on a reverse and see if they like that.
Iglesias playing here today more than he has on the season for this team. Peterson is running out of that deep formation. Will bring the ball up to the 45-yard line. A gain of 3 on that one. And that's the kind of runner he is, and that's where they want to use him, when they can get him deep into the backfield and run straight ahead.
You know, they didn't have Adrian Peterson during spring ball. He had shoulder surgery after a tough bruising freshman year. Sat out, and so a lot of the other backs just are different style backs, and they started developing the run gun offense, which, you know, comes from that Utah system where the quarterback takes it and either gives the handoff or gives out, and it's just a different running style. But when he's in there, it's true. It's like going back to 1987. You're seeing I formation, not a lot of this. Now he's out of the game. You're in the gun.
He's had over 100 yards. That one's incomplete. 11 carries, 120 yards for Peterson on the day. That one, though, is going to be incomplete. Coming up, the Capital One halftime show. John Craig and Aaron will be along. The early game highlights, plus they'll introduce you to one of college football's most unique pep rallies, Texas A&M's Midnight Yell. That's all coming up here at the half. Great to have you with us here in Lincoln, Nebraska. The full house has not had a lot to cheer about so far. Oklahoma's been able to dominate on the offensive side of it, with Adrian Peterson coming up big in this game with the 2 touchdown runs. Here is a 2nd down and a 10 from the 45-yard line of Nebraska out of the shotgun. Quarterback keep to the 40, and it'll be carried down to the 38-yard line. A gain of 7. Titus Adams, the defensive tackle, moved in on the hit.
Bomar gets up favoring his left ankle. Paul Thompson remains the 2nd-string quarterback, although they've started to allow him to play wide receiver. He's just too good of an athlete to keep off the field. But Bomar, a very tough, and everybody talks about how he's a perfectionist. Probably a little too hard on himself at times. J.D. Runnels, yesterday we were talking to him. He said, you know, we had to tell him, listen, it's not high school. You're going to make mistakes. Guys are going to make plays, but very tough, competitive young man. I doubt he's going to come out.
2 out of 7 third down conversions. Bomar's got a 3rd down and 3 here. Peterson in, not going to make it. Good coverage by McEwen, number 13, who came roaring into that backfield. He's the leader in solo tackles, the leader in tackles, and he's the leader with throwing the opposition for a loss.
Asked McEwen yesterday when we first started talking to him, I said, listen, your name is McKeon. And he dropped his backpack like he wanted to rumble. And he said, no, we're Irish. It's actually McCune. But we knew nobody could say that, so my dad said, we'll just have everybody call us McEwen. And I'm going to listen to him, Gary.
Absolutely. Once you see the size of that young man, you will listen very carefully. Braby is in to do the punting, averaging 40, almost 42 yards a kick. Grigsky's going to be back at the 10-yard line for Nebraska. Almost blocked. Very high kick.
Ball's coming backwards.
It's going to roll to
I've
the
never
24.
seen a punt. Did you see that thing? It almost started coming backwards because of the wind.
You get that up into this wind, that's what's going to happen. It ends up being just a 17-yard kick. Nebraska with time to do some damage here. 3:40 left in the half. Corey McEwen, the sophomore, the tougher they are against him, the better he likes it.
That's the kind of guy you want to play against. Someone that as hard as you're going to hit him and as hard as you're going to play against him, he's going to come back even harder on you. And then you got to come back even harder on him. And that's the kind of games you want to be a part of, the kind of players you want to play against, players like him who are going to keep coming back at you and let him know that I'm going to keep coming back at him.
This is one of the first times that we've seen Peterson have to really make a cut before he got to that point. Remember that track run And McEwen does a really nice job of filling back in. And yesterday, he was just so excited. We told him, he was like, Peterson been practicing all week. And, well, we're not going to tell you what's going on the other side. He's like, I hope he's been practicing. I really want. He's just unbelievable, the intensity of this young man.
Most teams wouldn't want him to be playing. He does. It'll be a first down at 10. Nebraska with the opportunity here to try and get another on the board. It'll be up to the 24-yard line. No gain as that one gets stopped. Lucky moving out of the backfield on that carry. You see 6 of the 7 drives. They have been 3 plays and out. They have rushed for a grand total of 25 yards in this game. Nebraska has, after last week against Missouri ending up with -2 yards in rushing.
And a lot of that, it got behind at Missouri, and Corey Ross just kind of was not part of the playbook late in the game, but a lot of that was just sacks and the offensive line struggles against Missouri, especially in the second half.
Zach Taylor out of the shotgun. Corey Ross standing next to him will block this time on the out near the 31-yard line. It is caught, but it's out of bounds. It'll be an incomplete pass. Zach Taylor thought he had that one as Terrence Nunn wanted to make the catch and stop the clock.
Well, Nunn's just got to be aware of where the sideline is. He's just running a stop route. Zach Taylor taking a nice shot, but Nunn needs to know where he is. And that's the right call by the official. Both feet go down at the same time, and the right foot of Nunn on the line. Nunn just has to have better presence on the sideline.
This Nebraska team coming into this game 96th in the nation in rushing and 68th in passing. Those are the struggles they have had. Nunn back out wide, 0 for 7 and 3rd down conversions out of the shotgun again. Zach Taylor. Ross will block for him. A little time in the pocket, completed to the 36-yard line, and that is going to be enough for a first down, a 12-yard gain. Clayton Sievers, who has not had a reception, gets his first of the football game.
And right away, the one thing that Brent Venables talked about on the phone, and Bob Stoops was telling us, this is one of the problems with a young secondary. That was just vanilla coverage, but they were not aggressive. You could see the receiver sit down and the cornerback over the top. He's just so afraid to get beat that he doesn't break on the ball. And they've said there's been so many 3rd down conversions where if we're just more aggressive and comfortable, we'll make the tackle before the
first and
down.
10 completed. That's going to be at the 43-yard line. 3 first downs for Nebraska so far in the football game. Nate Swift hauls that one in for a 7-yard gain. Coming up, the Capital One halftime show. John, Craig, and Aaron standing by. The early game highlights, and they'll introduce you to that great Texas A&M midnight yell. That's all coming up here at the half, and we are closing in on that with 2:08 left to go in the first half here in Lincoln, Nebraska. From the shotgun on a 2nd down and 2, Taylor wants to go near side, and that's almost intercepted. Hit the defender right in the pads. That was Wolf, who turned around and suddenly had the football.
Bad throw by Zach Taylor. I feel like that first quarter just totally got him out of rhythm. He's missed a couple of guys running open down the field, steps into the pocket, and this ball just gets way to the inside. Peterson's fine. He's just got to throw that to the outside.
6 out of 13, 43 yards for Taylor so far in this first half at quarterback. He has also been sacked a couple of times at another 3rd down conversion, 3rd down and 2. They will only have Ross in that backfield. And they want to go to the air on the out. It's going to be completed at midfield and into Oklahoma territory. So a little down and out for an 8-yard gain as they got the tight end involved in that one. Grant Mulkey, wide receiver, who's not been involved so far in the football game, is involved now.
And this is all of the shifts and the motions of Nebraska. And again, it's just not understanding where the first down marker is for Marcus Walker. He's a sophomore. He missed a lot of camp with shoulder injury and just not knowing where the first down marker is.
Again, short yardage play, and that'll be to about the 42-yard line. Nate Swift hauls it in. He's had 19 receptions in 4 games coming into this one. He gets 6 yards on that one.
And here goes Nebraska hurrying it up a little bit, and I like this. Trying to catch Oklahoma off guard. I think this is the right time to do this.
Zach Taylor, as they split 2 to the right side, again looking, gets pressure, turns, and he'll be taken down. And they've got to use a timeout here to stop that clock, and they do with 1:11 left to go. Allen Davis getting into the backfield with Dvorak, and they'll have time to talk it over. Nebraska trailing here 14-3, trying to get something on the board before the half. 14-3, Oklahoma leading this one as they try and pick up the victory here in Nebraska. That has never been easy. Let's take a look at this week's BCS standings that are brought to you by Allstate. The big news, of course, on Monday was to see the top with Texas moving ahead of USC.
And everybody just up in arms and screaming and yelling, and the sky is falling. It's like, guys, we've got so much.
It's only going to be for a week.
Yeah, I mean, 7 1/1000ths of a point. I mean, statistically, it almost means nothing. But, you know, the one team that I really think has a shot to stir that up even more is Virginia Tech. They've got the toughest schedule going to the end. They looked incredible against Boston College. And the one thing, Gary, I think a lot of people they overlook is it's not where you are in the voting polls, first, second, or third. It's how many points of the total you have. And if Virginia Tech can continue to close that gap, I think they're going to get better and better in the computer polls and may have a shot at cracking the top 2.
And back after the timeout, Nebraska intercepted to the 50. There's nothing down there but Ross, the running back, and he's not going to get him. It is a touchdown. Onyenagata takes that one in, a 62-yard interception return for the TD, and a back-breaking play into the final minute of the first half.
And Zach Taylor in Norman, Oklahoma. His hometown, his father Sherwood played for Oklahoma. He looks a little tight, Gary. He never got into a rhythm in that first quarter with the win, and that's the second time he hit number 22 right in the chest. This time, Onyenagata wraps it up and takes it the distance.
That was one of those sideline passes that when intercepted, you only have maybe a running back or a quarterback with any chance, and it was Ross, who has great speed, the running back, who tried to go get him. Taylor comes out of there, and boy, that has really quieted the house, making it 20-3 with 1 minute left to go in the half. Hartley out. That kick is up, and that one is good. A 21-3 lead for the Sooners.
Very, very similar plays. I was just talking a moment ago about Onyenagata almost making the pick as he read the route and came off of his receiver and right in front of who Zach Taylor was going for. Probably wouldn't have taken that one because 81's standing right there, but this time Onyenagata again, he has the outside receiver. That's just good eyes. So this is the guy, the cornerback with the most experience for Oklahoma, and experience shows on both of those plays. He's reading the eyes of the quarterback and just comes right off of his responsibility, knowing that that's where Taylor was going to go with the ball.
Onyenagata now has returned his first interception for a touchdown this year. It is the third interception return for a TD by Oklahoma, and for Bill Callahan, more frustration with this offense.
And he's got to get Taylor focused in. You've got a minute left, 21-3. You still have the wind at your back. Remember, Nebraska is going to get the ball to start the second half because Oklahoma deferred on the coin toss. They have got to get something positive on this drive.
That is the 8th interception thrown by Taylor on the season, and Bill Callahan will have his offense going right back out there. They haven't won a game when they have trailed at halftime under Callahan in his second season here, and right now they are down 21-3 to Oklahoma. And you see just shaking his head over there, trying to figure out what to do to make this offense go.
Well, Zach Taylor's got to quit locking in on who he's throwing to, especially on that side. Onyenagata is just reading him like a book.
This one is going to go into the wind again, and going to be a relatively short kick that'll be handled at the 24-yard line by Lucky, and he's down at the 30-yard line. So decent territory as Ryan Reynolds moved in for Oklahoma and put the hit on. But now it's get your head up time for Nebraska. This is, that's a devastating play. The offense hasn't played well here in the first half. Now you got to find a way, got to come right back on the field, and you can be a little gun shy.
And Bill Callahan will not play this close to the vest. He will not play this to get into the half. He's sending out his quarterback to run this. 55 seconds left, one timeout. Let's get down and try to get some points on the board.
So Taylor comes back out with under a minute to go, 55 seconds.
I wouldn't call the inside slot receiver on the outcut on this drive, though,
no,
if I were Bill Callahan.
Zach Taylor, last one he threw, a flag is down. That'll get a whistle. We're looking down to that right side again. Something over on the left side. Maybe Thomas, the left tackle, moving.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. Number 79. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
It goes from bad to worse for Nebraska. got to settle it in, settle it down, find some sustaining offense. But here you're really going for a score.
Yeah, you're probably thinking of some kind of draw or screen. You just want to get some positive yardage. You've got to be very careful now.
And another flag as probably no movement. Carl Pendleton, the number 68, the defensive tackle, across the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he was in the neutral zone, and opposite him, Josh Mueller, the tight end, moved.
Dead ball. Contact.
Yeah.
Offside. Number 68. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And I think Mueller caught a little bit of a break that Pendleton made contact because Pendleton gets back off. Watch the tight end up top, though. Watch Pendleton. He's going to get back. Oh, he made contact with the helmet. That's the right call.
So they swap penalties, and it brings up 1st and 10 right back where they were originally. That ball gets tipped, and it's incomplete. Zach Taylor trying to get that over the line, but Corey Bennett, who is a redshirt freshman, 6'2", 275, got his hand up and knocked it down. Zach Taylor, this has been a very tough first half.
And you know what, Gary? And I know they're down 21-3. I think it might be time to try to just run this thing out. It just feels like something bad may happen. And if I'm Oklahoma, I'm going to do everything I can to try to make them punt and go after it. Why not? The momentum's on your side right now.
Taylor's 8 for 17 in the passing department, 58 yards, and an interception. He is back out of the shotgun in a big rush, steps up. Again, some room, lets it go, first down, and taken out of bounds. As they bring in 4 receivers, and Mulkey, who's had a couple of receptions, gets 11 yards on that one. He did not start and did not see a lot of action until the second quarter, but Grant Mulkey has come on and had a couple of receptions, and that one's good for a first down.
This pass rush for Oklahoma has been a nightmare for Zach Taylor. Even when he's had time, he's not looked very sharp, but he's had to move up and out of the pocket on almost every drop-back pass so far today.
Sooner defense 60th in the nation against the pass, 3rd against the run, but today they put good pressure on. Again, Taylor, again will step up. Ooh, boy,
what a shot.
Will not have a first down and not get to midfield, but he gets up in a hurry. Clint Ingram put the hit on him, the senior linebacker. 7-yard gain. Listen to this one. You see Taylor jumped up as fast as he could.
Yeah.
He didn't want to make it look any better than what it was because it was pretty darn good. And Corey Bennett on the Sooner defense is down on the field, but he's getting up.
And he looks like he's getting the calf cramp.
And he's going to come out limping, but he's okay.
I never see a guy fall down straight-legged and pull those feet up.
Players get a break today. The temperatures were supposed to be up in the mid or upper 70s, but the overcast skies have put the sun behind, and that has kept the temperatures down.
Well, I thought it was a calf, but actually this is
something.
Take a look at it. It looked like a clip to me.
Taylor looking for the touchdown, throws deep to the 20. It's incomplete as it went to the 10. On the fly was Nate Swift, who is that. He had coverage. He had gotten behind it, but not with a football.
You know, we've talked a lot about throwing into the wind. Well, there's adjustments you have to make throwing with the wind, especially, I mean, we're getting gusts up to nearly 40 miles an hour. And Swift had inside position on Anya Nagacha. And if anything, you've got to throw that ball flat. Any ball you throw up in the air, it's just going to carry. We've seen it happen with the punts as well.
See the gusts continuing here in Lincoln. A 3rd down, out of the gun again. Looking very deep, very deep. Great protection, a lot of coverage. He moves over and just throws the Hail Mary. That's to nowhere. That bounces off a cameraman on the far side. Dvorak put the pressure on, and Zach Taylor, with nowhere to go, heads to the sideline as they were unable to complete the last 2.
Well, Zach Taylor, I think he got a little greedy. He had the receiver, it looked to me like Todd Peterson's wide open. As he cuts to that post, and he waited for too long and just couldn't come back down to it. We've heard some grumbling in the stands, and I think it's these fans don't ever think that Nebraska fans don't know their football. They know what they're looking at. I don't care if they ran the option here for 200 years. They know what a post route is. They know when guys are open, and I think that's part of the reason they're a little restless right now.
Oklahoma's got timeout left with 1 second left to go. A timeout is taken here for Taylor. 9 for 20. has not been a successful day working, and we've seen Peterson run for a couple of touchdowns, and then the interception on Inagecha, running that one back for the TD. So both the defense and the offense for Oklahoma have played a part in scoring in this game.
Well, Zach Taylor's still trying to get comfortable in this offense. Remember, he transferred in from Butler Community College. He started his career at Wake Forest, went to Butler Community College, came in and won the job in the spring. But this is a massive, massive playbook. And I think early in the game, he just never got into any kind of rhythm. They had to run the ball almost exclusively because of the wind. And he just doesn't look like he's settled. Maybe putting a little too much pressure on himself, being from Norman, Oklahoma, maybe a little bit in his head.
He has heard it all week, all the stories that have been written about his dad having played football on the other side at Oklahoma. He was never recruited by Oklahoma, now gets a chance to play against them, and obviously that can wear on you a little bit as well as jack you up for the game. Now we'll get, you talk about deep coverage. Yeah. They're covering back at the 10-yard line here. As time runs out, the only chance to throw into the end zone and hope. Taylor puts it up, 3 receivers, 8 defenders, and it's incomplete, but there were 2 red shirts behind all the whites.
Boy, the white shirts made a big mistake there, and that's the youth that Bob Stoops and his coaches, Brent Venables, have talked about. Where's these guys? You've got to get to where the ball's going to land as well as get it to its highest point. That's very close to 6 points.
Let's get down to Mark Morgan.
Gary, thank you very much, Coach. Why has your defense been so effective in this first half?
Well, we've been really good against the run game, which is first and foremost, and then we've gotten some pressure to the quarterback, and guys are covering good.
For a guy who's been banged up, Adrian Peterson has been stellar. Why?
Well, his ankle's probably feeling a little bit better, it is, and he's got fresh legs. Just got to get that ankle better.
Thanks, Coach. All right, let's take it back to New York. John Saunders, Craig James, and Aaron Taylor. Guys?
All right, thanks a lot. Do you get the feeling that those people that are out there right now and not weeping for Oklahoma and saying, oh, Oklahoma's down, isn't that great, that they're going to be in trouble in a year or two?
And I got another weeping feeling. How about Nebraska fans? You can almost play a dirty trick right now on Nebraska's offense. And the secondary at Oklahoma could act like they're going to try to defend the pass, fall down, and the receivers at Nebraska couldn't catch it. I mean, this is a terrible offense that's supposed to be getting better, and it didn't happen.
And going back to what John was saying about Oklahoma, they are unbelievably talented. Oklahoma's problem this year has been that they've had some injuries on the offensive line and they're young at quarterback. You remove those, they definitely have a championship defense. They're playing like it today. Yeah. That is where you want to build the nucleus of your team. Oklahoma's going to be good coming up.
Teams they've played against, the 3 losses, 21-1, the combined records of those teams. Also, Adrian Peterson. It's nice to have him around for 119 yards in the first half.
Welcome you back to Lincoln, where Oklahoma has the 21-3 lead, and now the Nebraska offense has got to get it going. Bill Callahan with Mark Morgan.
Coach, specifically, what do you have to do to get your offense untracked?
Well, we're not in foreign territory. We've been here before, and our kids understand how to come back. We've been in this situation twice this year, so it's just a matter of being patient, getting back on the board with the first series or second series of the second half, and then just plugging along, because anything can happen.
Coach, good luck.
Thank you.
And obviously that interception that was returned for the touchdown, a backbreaker. And as he says, the key now, since they are going to get the football, that is to get something on the board and try and get some sustained offense running.
19 yards rushing from their running backs. I think they've got to get Corey Ross involved. He's such a dynamic back. They can get him out of the backfield. Zach Taylor obviously struggling a little bit with the wind. They'll get the ball back. Although they'll be into the wind, I think they need to settle in and use the running backs a little bit more.
Well, we'll see whether or not that offense can get going, as they did not have a lot of room to pass the football. Bob Stoops' team defensively, the sacks, a couple of those, quarterback rushes, probably a half dozen of those, as the defense really got the job done and also helped score in the interception. Onyenighachi catching one and taking it back for 62 yards. Peterson, a 36-yard run. Another 2-yard run for Adrian Peterson, 2 TDs. Jordan Congdon had the 40-yard field goal, and then the 63-yard interception return for Oklahoma.
And for Oklahoma, same. Adrian Peterson, not quite 100%, but he's looking more like his old self that he's looked like all year. Continue to get him on that outside track on the zone play.
And again, with that wind blowing, it'll take that football all the way back into the end zone. We will end up with a 1st and 20. Nebraska, Tom Osborne, 73-97. Barry Switzer and he met up a few times because you both came in the same year in 73. Tom Barry, it is great to have you with us. Tom, you had your team out there. 100 players returning from a national championship team, 95.
Well, a lot of loyalty among those guys and a lot of great players, and I imagine they could use a few of them here today.
Would have helped.
That's right.
And your playbook.
Barry, what kind of a relationship as we look here on the 1st down and 10, and that will be carried maybe for a yard gain. But the two of you had such tremendous football teams during the time you coached against one another. What kind of personal relationship did you end up with?
Well, Tom and I are good friends. We're competitors first, and obviously we had great teams, and we were very competitive and fierce in our competition. But you know, we've had opportunities to socialize through the years and various times, and I've always admired and respected Tom and what he's done, and I think he does the same with our program myself.
You guys have put up some unbelievable football numbers and national titles. That ball's going to be completed and taken down to about the 30-yard line. A little bit of passing game early on here as they'll try and get those numbers going. Taylor, who had a tough first half, to Nate Swift on that one.
Coach, I think a good argument could be made that your 95 team may be best of all time. But for both of you guys, what was your best team, do you think, through your years at these schools?
Well, probably for me, the 95 team was the most talented. 94 maybe the most cohesive, and the last one, 97, was good. But we played some great Oklahoma teams when they had the Selmans. That wasn't even fair, Barry, when you had those guys.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm glad I didn't have to play against you in the 90s, Tom, because your teams were great. I didn't have to defend your playbook, your option game, Tommy Frazier, because you were totally the dominant team of the 90s. And we had our bats in the 80s, but I was glad I was out of the game when you had the 90s.
Who was your best team, Coach? Who do you think?
Mid-80s, we had a lot of good teams. 74, I had 8 guys that started in the NFL off my defensive team, and the Selman brothers, a bunch of guys in the secondary, good linebackers. But, you know, I've had good teams throughout the years as Tom, but the 90s were great for Tom, and I'm serious. I'm glad I didn't have to defend those teams.
Yeah, 2nd down and 4 coming up here as Nebraska tries to move the football. That will be completed, and that will be enough for the 1st down. So they do it in the air. Mark LaFleur, who did not have a reception, caught that one. He didn't have any in the first half, and a flag is down on the play. Gentlemen, I have to ask you, because we've talked to the current coaches about this. College football, especially here in this conference, has really changed offensively, and reactions to it. We're now seeing the spreads, the West Coast offenses, a lot different than what was existed when
let me answer this first. People ask me all the time, would Tom Osborne or my playbook win today? You bet it would. But there's no disciples of it. No one believes in it, so no one's going to run these offenses. The bogus, the spread, the shotgun, throw the ball around like this. But, yeah, you bet Tom playbook go hang half 100 on people any day you want to.
What do you think, Tom?
Well, yeah, one of the tough things about playing Oklahoma early was they were the only wishbone out there, and you had 3 or 4 days to get ready for them, and it was impossible. Now, when more people ran the wishbone, you had a little better chance. But right now, so many offenses are so similar that the defense gets great repetition, and that's really helping the defenses to some degree.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the teams are playing a lot of the same stuff, and when the wishbone came in and things like that, the power option that you guys used to run, it's like everybody sees and says, oh, that works. Was there a lot of that going on? I mean, you know, film started really taking hold when it turned to video because it was easier to move around. How much did the game change with that coming into play?
Well, I think Barry certainly influenced offensive football in that several wishbone teams sprang up in the, well, there's another big play.
He's having a big game.
Dvorak's having a tremendous football game. He's knocked a couple down. He intercepts that one. And once again, Nebraska's offense unable to sustain any kind of a drive as Oklahoma's going to get the football back. Take a look again here in the interception.
And I believe this is about the 4th ball that Zach Taylor has had tipped. Latimer does a great job on the blitz. His progress is stopped, so he just jumps up and tips it. And Dvorak, guys, we've talked a lot about, you know, he had some problems off the field, and he had to fight to get back on. He's really making the most of it. And it's nice to see a young man who had some difficulties in his personal life overcome those and have a great senior season.
And be the captain of the team. Not a bad comeback there.
Oklahoma's got some good linemen, and they're kind of controlling the line of scrimmage.
They have done that. That one fumbled in the backfield. And Bomar's going to be taken down for a loss as he'll be driven back to about the 39-yard line. Tom Osborne, Barry Switzer, we thank you very much for coming by. It's always great to see you. Added so much to the game.
I know Tom can't bring this up, but I can.
Go ahead.
Is that I can't vote in Nebraska, but I want to vote for Tom for Governor of the state. He's going to hang a half 100 on whoever he runs against him.
And he's a Democrat.
And he's a Democrat.
Holy. And Nebraska coach.
I vote for the guy.
You just picked up a big supporter right there.
Okay. Go hang half 100 on.
Very Tom, thanks very much, guys.
Coach, thank you
It
very
was a
much.
pleasure to have you up here. Thank you very much. Tom, thanks a million. Best luck. Two great names involved in the tradition of these two teams. Ball will be carried down to the 32-yard line, driven out of bounds as Peterson continues with a magnificent day. Well over the 120 yards in carries now. He's having his best football game of the season with that high ankle sprain that bothered him and was questionable as to how much he could play today is not bothering him so far.
I'm just so shocked that cats and dogs are now playing together. Barry Switzer voting for Tom Osborne. Things have changed, haven't they?
There you go. Get it off the field, and it gets a little easier to do that. This will bring up the 3rd down and 14, long yardage. Walmart back, dumps that one, and it is incomplete at the 5, and no flag on the play. Malcolm Kelly, the intended. Courtney Grigsby got in and broke it up. Let's check in with John Saunders. John.
Ohio State and Minnesota all tied at 17 apiece. Start of the second half. Antonio Pittman is not touched. He could have driven a truck through that hole. 67 yards. His first rushing touchdown of the season's 24-17 Buckeyes.
All right, John. That ball game involving some long plays. A 50-yard field goal attempt. Garrett Hartley has kicked a 52-yarder against Texas. The wind at his back. It is up, and it is good. So with the wind at his back, he puts it through a 50-yard field goal. So Oklahoma, after the interception, gets some points out of it, and they add to their lead as they are up 24-3 here in the 3rd. Hadn't scored in the 3rd quarter in the last 3 games. They get a field goal here, though, to start it out. Coming up second half of our college football doubleheader. Most of you are going to see Iowa State take on Texas A&M. Others, Purdue, Penn State, Maryland, Florida State, Washington State, USC. Next, right here on ABC Sports. Check your local listings.
I can't get enough of Little Red. First time I saw him was in the Lucy's back on the field, by the way. First time I saw Little Red was I went to that Fiesta Bowl. You know, we showed the highlight from the '95 team waxing Florida 62-24. I went with I was playing for the Cardinals at the time. We went to the game. Sat right down by the field. We watched more of Little Red than we did the game. I mean, the game was boring. I mean, they just were all over Florida early. But that guy's great.
What do you think he'll be wearing for Halloween? He gets to take it all off.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just goes
You know, I saw the guy wears that walk into the stadium. It comes in this huge duffel bag. It's monstrous.
That one's going to be kicked with that wind again, blowing it through the end zone. So Nebraska's going to take over again, 1st and 10. And for Dusty Dvorak, it has been a very big day. Mark Morgan.
Right, he's had an outstanding game, and surprise, surprise, Dusty was a little wacky when he was younger. I spoke to him yesterday, and he told me when he was 9 or 10 years old, he and his 2 brothers and some neighborhood kids would go away from their house. They would build forts in pine trees about 10 or 12 feet up. I'll continue this story in just a second after this play.
We leave him dangling in a tree right there. The handoff to the 20, and Ross will bring it up to about the 26-yard line, 6-yard gain, Mark.
So as I said, Dusty and his buddies would go 10 to 12 feet up in pine trees and build forts, and then they would put on 2 or 3 jackets, 3 pair of sweatpants, 4 or 5 hats, and then jump out of the trees, grabbing branches as they would go to kind of break their fall before they hit the ground. Dusty said it was kind of a wintertime activity. He said, well, it seemed like it was a lot of fun when I was a kid. I asked him what his parents thought of this, and he said, they never knew. Ed, and you also didn't seem surprised at this at all. Did you have an adventuresome side as well, Ed?
You know, we actually did that a couple of times. We did it in oak trees in my neighborhood.
That is Ross again on the carry. Ingram came in, and there'll be no gain on that. Wasn't there a movie made about somebody who went swinging through trees like that?
Yeah, but there was the cartoon where he whacked into one on
that's
Saturday
right.
mornings. Well, we've just outed Dusty. The message on his cell phone is not going to be, from Dad, it's going to be great game, son. From Mom, it's going to be, Dusty, call your mother. We need to talk.
This will bring up a 3rd down and 3 for Nebraska. Taylor back over the middle. It'll be completed, an immediate hit, and it will all depend on the spot. As Nate Swift made the catch, and Zach Latimer, keep in mind Latimer came out of the football game in the first half. After he got his bell rung, he is back in there.
By Dvorak. Yeah, both of them were trying to finish the play, and it was a wicked helmet-to-helmet hit. And we were concerned that they were going to have to, and there's another helmet-to-helmet hit. So Latimer, I guess, feeling okay.
Great to see him back there on the field. He leads his team in solo tackles. on the season. It was enough for the first down out of the shotgun. Zach Taylor looking to move this offense. There's plenty of time left in this game if they can find a way to get some yards. And he'll just throw that one away under pressure as he goes down back at the 13-yard line. C.J. Ayu got back there along with Ingram and put the pressure on.
You know, you talk a lot about players changing positions, and Zach Latimer, a guy who played defensive end, played some linebacker in high school, but played defensive end his first 2 years here. And I loved what Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator, said. He said he's not quite there yet. He doesn't have 2 to 3 years to rely on, but he has some suddenness about him. That means in a very small space, he can snap on a guy and make a great tackle.
Back again, looking to the sideline near that first down marker. It'll be completed out of bounds. Mark LaFleur makes the catch, and you saw how close he was to the marker. It'll be a 10-yard gain.
Well, Taylor, when he gets into a rhythm, and we've seen him a couple of times get into a rhythm, Iowa State, obviously, where he set a passing record of 431 yards. When he gets into a rhythm, he can really throw it. Doesn't have the strongest arm on the field, but he's got good time and good rhythm. And right now, Nebraska just trying to get anything going.
3rd down and 1. Taylor now is 14 out of 28, 102 yards. They go for the first down, and they will get it. And Nebraska, using their power runner, Cody Glynn, that time, gains about 3 for the first down. Glynn comes in on those short yardage situations. They call it running back by committee. They have 4 running backs who come in and out of the game. Corey Ross is their leader, but they've also got Lucky and Glynn and Peterson, who have appeared in this game.
And Glenn, a part of the wonderful recruiting class that Bill Callahan had. They've really, in the last month, they've really worked these freshmen to bring them along and get them used to playing in bigger games and in more important parts of those games.
First down and 10 out of the shotgun over the middle. The receivers were open, but another tip pass incomplete at midfield.
Yeah, I think Clint Ingram got another hand on this.
This has been a problem all year for Nebraska that they have talked about, is their offensive line not providing protection.
And it's been a lot of times not the defensive line, but the linebackers. The offensive line still trying to figure out their protections, and we saw earlier them letting a couple of guys run free, and that time Ingram comes off the end and gets a hand up and tips it.
Work out of the 2-man I formation here. Zach Taylor on the 2nd down and 10, back into the pocket. There's nobody open deep. He's going to have to run this one, and there is no one in front of him. Midfield into Oklahoma territory at the 40, and will bring it down to the 35-yard line. Reggie Smith finally got him, and Taylor took off, and he had red shirts in front for a 21-yard gain.
Once again, this is Oklahoma going, as the season has progressed, to a little more man-to-man coverage. A lot of that, quite frankly, has to do with guys not knowing what to do in zones. Last week against Baylor, looks like the game's over, and Baylor has the ball and just kind of heaves one up, and the safety's late backpedaling in a deep cover 3. So Brent Venables decided, you know what, let's just play man. We've got good athletes. Let's let them run with these guys.
Taylor had just 13 yards rushing in the first. He had more than that right there, and he's going to get sacked again. The sacks continue to pile up. That's 4 times now that this Sooner defense, Calvin Thibodeau rather, getting back there on him. 4 times they have sacked Taylor. 19 times he's been sacked this year.
And because they are playing more man coverage, some blitzes coming from the inside. And that's just a good finish by Thibodeau and Allen Davis, because the blitz was coming, so Taylor had to move towards Thibodeau, got a hand on him, and Davis finished it off.
That'll bring up a 2nd down, long yardage 17. 3 receivers short side. They'll all move over the other way, led by Phelps, and then they'll bring back the lone receiver who was there, Nate Swift, to the near side. They send Ross in motion over the middle. That's going to be completed. That'll bring it down to the 32-yard line, and that was Nate Swift on the reception. Take a look at our Pac Life game summary.
Nebraska really struggling offensively. First quarter of the game they were going into the win. The third quarter they're going into the win because of the choice by Bob Stoops to play with the wind on the coin toss by deferring. And last week you mentioned earlier in the game -2 rushing yards. Today obviously a little bit better, but they just haven't been able to get any kind of consistency in this offense. It looks like they just haven't found something they can sink their teeth into and call it play after play.
Only 51 rushing yards for Nebraska as opposed to 149 for Oklahoma. 3rd down and 7 out from under quarterback. Roll out left side. Ross 30. He's got room. 25. He'll take it to the 20. Gets away and brings it down to the 16-yard line. A nice reception and run for 16 for Corey Ross. He is their leader in both rushing yardage per game and in receptions.
Corey Ross, who played wide receiver out of Denver, Colorado, as a junior in high school, gets a good block from Nate Swift. He's just so natural catching the ball. And then, of course, as a running back, you expect him to be good in the open field. And that's what we were talking about coming out of halftime, is get number 4 involved, because he puts a different type of stress on the defense.
And for the 2nd time in this game, Zach Latimer is coming out. This time, obviously, the right arm and shoulder being held down. And there is Corey Ross, who is having another big game, his 23rd start. He is a 2-year starter for this Nebraska team.
And Nebraska has not been very good in the red zone all year, and a lot of that has to do with Matt Herrion, tight end who broke his leg last year against Missouri. Still not back, and he was always such a good weapon in the middle. And in this part of the field, the tight end down the middle is such a key play.
And a stumble, and that's where it will be, at the 20-yard line. As he tried to back up, Taylor caught his foot, and down he went.
That's not a good start in the red zone, is it?
No, not what you wanted. And I couldn't tell if he hit somebody's foot.
It looked like the right guard, Brandon Coe. Right there, watch his left foot. Yep, as he's coming down. And it's just one of those things where the quarterback, when they're behind the center, they have to really narrow their stance, especially in a passing play, because Coe's got to come down and get on the nose guard, and he can't be worried about where the quarterback is.
13th play of this series back. Big rush on. He just gets it away. Open at the 15. Down to the 5 and out of bounds. And about the 4 is Dane Todd, the fullback, in his first reception of the day.
Well, they're going to cheer for a local here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Dane Todd from right here in Lincoln. He's a fairly bright fellow, has a 4.0 GPA. And this is the part when you talk about, what is the West Coast offense? Boy, he just gets that ball off. Thibodeau is just having a monster day from the outside. But, you go back to the San Francisco and a guy named Tom Rathman, who a lot of people in this part of the country know. They always involve the fullback. Get him out in the flat, because nobody expects that guy to be in the pass pattern.
Now it is going to be a 1st down and goal for Nebraska, trying to push across their first touchdown of the day, as they will take it from the 4-yard line. Look into the flats, wide open. Todd can't hang on to it. He tried to get his body position to take it into the end zone, but he didn't have the football.
And that was not a good throw by Zach Taylor. He made, this is a big body guy. He's not a thin, fluid athlete like your receivers are. This ball has to be thrown to his inside as he has to spin around. I think if he catches it, he may have fallen down anyway. Zach Taylor's got to throw this ball more back towards the middle of the field. He's got all the time in the world. If he catches it, he walks into the end zone.
You see everybody looking over to the sideline where they're getting the offensive calls here. So a 2nd down and goal. Todd, the intended receiver on the last 2, caught one of them. 15th play of the series, longest series that the Huskers have had. The handoff at the 5, and that's as far as it's going to go. Glenn again, their big-time runner on short yardage. He had a lot of blockers in front, but this Oklahoma line, this Sooner defense, standing up again to it.
Well, and it's the defensive line has just been getting so much pressure. It's Remy Ayodele on the center, who just blows up the middle, and Dane Todd, the fullback, has to come in and actually block on him because of the penetration. You got to go play action pass, or right now, 3rd and goal, no chance of trying to run this ball. Get Zach Taylor out. You got 2 receivers up top. Maybe roll him towards that side.
Another big 3rd down play. 3rd down and goal from the 4. Quick in. That is going to be caught, and touchdown! On the quick slant over the middle, they get their first TD of the game. It'll go for 3 yards. Terrence Nunn, the touchdown reception. That is his 4th TD reception of the season.
Well, and again, you're playing on a secondary that may not understand the picture. And that's just bad technique, again, by the cornerback. DJ Wolf, a former running back, he's got to know, I'm on the short side of the field. Force them to throw the fade. Just set right inside hard. That's the easy throw there.
And the point after for Nebraska is put up, and it is good. Well, the winning team has come from behind in 26 of the last 36 games they've played. Can Nebraska be one of those?
They've got a little momentum, and it wouldn't shock me if Bill Callahan, he's got a bunch formation with all his guys lined up behind his kicker. Wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska were to attempt an onside kick. Something just to change, continue the momentum, and do something. That's the first offensive light that we've seen from them today. Try to just keep that momentum going.
They had a great drive. They went 16 plays for 80 yards, taking 6:07, by far the most sustained drive that we've seen Nebraska have in this football game.
And by the looks of Bill Callahan, he's not really interested in the kickoff. Makes me think, no, they're not going to try an onside kick.
Never know. All right, let's see what happens. However, they're going into the wind here, so they're Oklahoma to the sideline. Look at the wind blowing. Fair catch called for at the 40-yard line. There's a flag down. Joe John Finley, a tight end, was out there on the receiving unit. Now let's see what the flag is.
And that's a really heads-up play by Finley, because that ball was kicked so high and got caught in that wind, started coming straight down. Nebraska could have gotten there and made a play on the ball, and of course it's live as soon as it goes 10 yards.
All right, see if they wave that off.
We have kick infraction on the kicking team. Not enough players on one side of the kicking team. Penalties decline. First down.
With that great field position, no reason to take that penalty and try it again, so Oklahoma will just take the football.
No,
and
that's
go.
the right call. You know, a lot of times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boy, you've got 4 on the left and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right. Oh, it's the guy. I got it. The guy crossed from behind him. That's the proper call. Sorry, our telestrator, those at home, I can't draw right now. Our telestrator's having some technical difficulties, but good call by the official. When that guy on the left cut behind, it does become an illegal formation.
First down and 10. Little change, obviously, at the line of scrimmage, and the fans trying to make as much noise so the Oklahoma offense can't hear it, and it may have worked. A takedown at about the 37-yard line, as the sea of red helped out on that one. Blackshirts Smith moved in on the hit as they tried to run it off that left side tackle.
Smith doing a really nice job working on the center. Bush jumps through the gap, and the guard, J.D. Quinn, never gets there. Blackshirts Smith, the young man who made the interception against Texas Tech and had the fumble, and Kevin Cosgrove said, we flushed that play immediately. He made a natural play on the ball, and this guy's been such a good force in the middle for Nebraska.
2nd and 12, big rush for the cornerback, rather. That's going to be incomplete at the 40-yard line, and good pressure put on as Courtney Grigsby, the strong cornerback, came in and put the hit on.
Nice job. Kevin Cosgrove gets a play from Blackshirts Smith, and then right away he makes a very aggressive call. They've blitzed some linebackers. I believe that's the first time he's called a corner blitz, and Bomar wasn't ready for it. Now with 3rd and long, you could play some coverage and hope that your front gets the pressure.
And for the first time in this game, and I mean from the opening kickoff, there's finally electricity here in Lincoln, Nebraska. There has been none. Now the defense trying to rise to the occasion. 3rd down and 12. Bomar drops it off. Wide open sideline. 40. Midfield. Into Nebraska territory, and a first down at the 42-yard line. Jones on a 22-yard reception. And I mean wide open.
This could not have been a better play call by Chuck Long. Pressure again coming. I was a little surprised that more pressure came there, not zone. And because the motion moved over and you had man coverage, that guy had to run with him. Well, the defensive back who vacated that area, vacated the area exactly where the call was for the screen to Jones. What a brilliant call.
Ewan Jones on the first down and 10. Fans trying to get right back in it here, and that'll be a takedown on Peterson back at the 45-yard line. Good penetration by Jay Moore, and let's check in with Mark Morgan. Mark.
Gary, you saw Kewan Jones a minute ago. He told me yesterday his biggest fear is spiders, and he told me he probably picked that up from his mom and sister. They were terrified of them when he was growing up. Kewan is a senior, and he still remembers the very first spider he killed when he came to Norman in his first apartment. He told me he killed it with a shoe, but now he does enjoy watching the Discovery Channel, especially when the subject is, yep, spiders. So he remains afraid, yet apparently fascinated. He also said his teammates don't know he's scared of spiders, but again, I guess they do now.
You're just letting too much info out here today. That one is going to be caught one-handed, and it is out of bounds.
And that's very reminiscent of the catch that Malcolm Kelly had last week against Baylor as regulation was running out. And this one very close. Remember, we were talking earlier, this is the guy.
1 foot. Nope.
No, and that's the right call. It looks like he may have possession, but until he truly possesses it, he's got to have a foot down. But this is very close. The one against Baylor, even closer.
3 out of 10 third down conversions. This is a big play for the Huskers defense.
And because of the diversity of the running backs, I would not blitz here. You got to play zone. That's what hurt you on the last one.
Work out of the shotgun on the 3rd and 13. Looking to the near sideline. A lot of bumping going on. It's completed. It is not a first down. Malcolm Kelly, again, the 6'4" receiver, hauls it in, but a 9-yard gain is going to leave them about 4 shy of the first down.
Yeah, and Bob Stoops over there looking for a better spot. Gary, it looked to me when he caught that ball and was wrapped up by the defender that he was about a yard shy. And I would think if it were about a yard that Oklahoma would go for it. Yeah, he gets pushed back there, but it's where the defender first hit him and stopped his momentum where it's supposed to be spotted.
Probably lost 2 yards.
At least, yeah.
2 yards on that. It'll be a 52-yard attempt as Garrett Hartley, who has kicked big field goals here in this game already, will try for another one. The ball gets away, and there's where it will be down. Nebraska gets a break. On the snap, Garrett Hartley down. Great field position for the Huskers to take over. Jacob Rice on the snap, unable to hang on, and Rigoni came back and recovered it. Right through the hands. Can Nebraska take advantage of fine field position? Miami with a big comeback in that game after falling behind. Nebraska's trying to have the big comeback here. They get the football 1st and 10 after that field goal that never went anywhere, and neither is he going to go anywhere. That is Lucky. Marlon Lucky on the carry. That play has been worked about 8 times, and it hasn't worked yet. Latimer on the hit.
And Lucky's got to slow himself down. He's a true freshman, still trying to figure this out. There is a huge hole right here, and he tries to bounce it to the outside right where everybody is. And that's one of the problems with young guys with a lot of talent. In high school, all the big yardage was outside, and they could outrun anybody. There wasn't a defensive end they played against that could catch them. Now against the big boys, you got to duck it up. Take 3 or 4 because it was there.
Look at those gaps in that defensive line. Linebackers filling it on 2nd down and 10. Taylor throwing it complete out of bounds. Gain of maybe 5 or 6 to Mulkey. A 6-yard gain. Grant Mulkey, who did not start this football game, suddenly has become a primary receiver. They'll be shy of the first down, and that'll bring up another big 3rd down play for Taylor and company.
Mulkey, a guy who part of this great walk-on program, was put on scholarship over the summer, and one of the receivers that Jay Norvell and Bill Callahan have really been working into the lineup because they know they've got some young guys with some talent, but Mulkey, kind of a veteran guy as a junior, they need him out on the field.
5 out of 15 third down conversions, a 3rd down and 3. 4 receivers in the football game. The quick look out near side, that's going to be enough for the first down. And those quick short passes now are working. Terrence Nunn gets 7 yards. Ingram brings him down.
And let's give credit to Zach Taylor. You know, he had the interception earlier, but that was off of a tipped ball. But he has looked incredibly more settled down and just better in the pocket than he did in the first half. He just looked completely out of sorts. And still, let's not forget, 3rd quarter, they're still going into the wind. Nice throws into the wind.
And shortening up on those passes rather than looking for those long routes that they were in that first half. They get the first down and a 10. The fake to Ross, he blocks. Taylor's got a carry, gets hit from behind, and gets taken down for a loss. Again, it is Latimer and Dvorak who are back there on the hit. Now let's take a look at our Dr. Pepper Big 12 update.
And things trying to sort themselves out in the Big 12 North. Missouri, Colorado hanging on. Kansas State's playing so much better. We saw Allen Everidge in his first start a few weeks ago. He's really starting to play well for Bill Snyder. And Baylor Boy, they give everybody in this conference now everything they can handle. They just need 2 more wins to become bowl eligible the first time in 10 years.
Good football team. Second down and 12. Long yardage after the loss. That's going to be incomplete. They want to flag the fans. They're going to get it.
It's PI.
That was a hit before that ball got close out there. Onyenagacho, who had returned an interception for a touchdown that time, I think is going to get stuck with a penalty.
Yeah, just a beat late. He's got to make that play, though, because you're just not quite sure if the ball's going to get there, and had to go through the receiver.
And another break for Nebraska. I mean, they needed some of these after coughing the football up in that first half.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 22. Spot foul. Automatic first down.
Onyenagacho just right on the spot. He had a dropped interception earlier, and then he had, of course, the interception return for a touchdown. Here, he's just going to drive on this ball to Terrence Nunn. Ooh-wee. I don't know, Gary.
Close.
I don't know. From up here, it looked like he got there early. That one might have looked like about the exact same time.
First down and 10, ball at the 25-yard line. Ross on the carry, and again, there is no room. This Oklahoma defense, which even the Huskers coaches said was outstanding and maybe the best front seven that they've ever seen this year, they string plays out. You cannot get around them.
Well, and we've talked about their secondary a lot, but it's the front seven. I mean, come on. You're looking at an NFL guy, Dusty Dvorak. Pendleton's look fantastic. This is the number 3 rush defense in the entire country. Now, there's always the argument, well, yeah, because everybody throws it on him, but I think it has a lot more to do with that front seven than that.
Well, they'll let the time expire. Nebraska's gotten themselves back into this football game, 24-10 as we head to the 4th. College football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching ABC Sports Championship Television.
Football on ABC Sports Championship Television.
(24-10) as we start the 4th. Nebraska in great field position, Oklahoma territory. Taylor back, looking to the corner, and touchdown! Swift, and Nebraska's back in it. What a beautiful pass by Taylor, who knew where he wanted to go, almost a spot pass into that end zone corner, and he put it right on the money. Jordan Congdon will come out for the extra point. It is up, and it is good, and hang on. They start out the 4th on their first play with a 25-yard touchdown pass. You got to believe, and you got to get your players to believe with you. That's what we've talked about in this Nebraska offense. It looks like all of a sudden they started believing.
And a lot of this has to do with protection. Here's Swift right here. He's going to run to the inside, and then he's going to break back to the outside. This route takes forever to develop. Thibodeau again runs by, but Taylor just buys himself a little bit of time. And right away, Onyenagacho just slaps his hands and puts his hands on his head because he knew that he got beat back to the outside. He was protecting against the post and was late getting back outside. But again, it started with protection, which Nebraska has not had. If you even go all the way back to last week against Missouri, this 3rd quarter and 4th quarter, first time they're starting to get some protection for Zach Taylor.
The second touchdown reception on the season. Swift today, 7 catches, 75 yards and a TD. A series that took 240, 6 plays and 48 yards. And Nebraska, that had no offense to speak of in the first half, has had 2 fine drives in the second half.
The way you defend Adrian Peterson is leave him on the sidelines. Over 11 minutes of possession in the 3rd quarter.
That ball's going to be taken at the 3-yard line. Lendy Holmes. Ouch. Down he goes. Fumble? No. They're saying no. But boy, there was some kind of hit right there at the 14-yard line, and Rigoni's been involved in a lot of that today. Let's check in again with John Saunders.
Jerry, earlier we showed you Antonio Pittman with a long touchdown run. This one just 4 yards, but he gets his shoulder square, gets into the end zone. Ohio State back up with a 2-touchdown lead, 38-24. Plenty of time though left in the fourth quarter, and both defenses are having problems stopping the opponent's offense. Jerry.
Another big early game today, John, on the update, along with this traditional rivalry, as Oklahoma and Nebraska both battling for a bowl spot, while Nebraska is hoping maybe for a Big 12 championship berth still. That's what's at stake in this game as these teams meet for the 82nd time.
And now, with the momentum changing, there's three things working against Oklahoma. The momentum, the crowd noise, and into the wind. Nebraska now can crowd the line of scrimmage and play for Adrian Peterson. I would take a bunch of risks and make Bomar move this ball with his arm into the wind. I would not let Adrian Peterson have any gaps.
Bomar has Jones in the backfield. Jones gets it, and he's going nowhere. Now the Nebraska defense trying to rise to the occasion as Titus Adams, the 300-pounder who moves a lot quicker than you'd think a 300-pounder could, has had a number of hits today.
And I don't think right now's the time to be running sideways. We've been talking about the difference between I runs and run gun. Watch how the running back has to come sideways. Well, the penetration gets there. If you have Adrian Peterson in the backfield in more of a traditional I formation, it's downhill. And even though you might not have picked up very much yardage, you wouldn't have lost yardage on that play.
And they do not get the personnel in that they wanted. Oklahoma had to call for a timeout. They were looking over at the sideline and will have to use up a timeout because they couldn't get their people in. Nebraska applauds that. Nebraska's back in at 24-17. They trail. Oklahoma's got the football. A second down and a 12. Omar to the shotgun. Big rush put on. Near side. Incomplete. Yes, at the 24-yard line. Travis Wilson with a tremendous catch. He had the defender right on his back. An 11-yard gain.
And Wilson, who's been battling an ankle and a toe on the same side, hurt himself cutting. It looked to me like he might have been bobbling this ball. See left foot down. Tough to tell from that angle, but Courtney Grigsby has the hand in there. Well, he didn't have it.
And they go for the first down on the dive. They needed less than a yard. The first down marker is at the 25, and we'll see.
Good job by Oklahoma getting that play off. I think if they would have reviewed that might have been overturned.
Every play, of course, being reviewed, and if the upstairs wants to take a longer look, they buzz down to the referee with a buzzer, as they put it, that takes the hat right off the official.
Let's take another look and see. It looked to me Grigsby right at the end of the play. He's got his left arm in there. You know, he may have had possession before he went out of bounds, and so that might have, you know what, I'm going to reverse myself on that. I think he had it long enough inbounds to call that a complete pass.
They get the first down at 10. Peterson now is back in the football game. He's carried only 3 times for a yard in the second half. Pass is going to be incomplete. Little footsteps may have been heard on that up near the 40-yard line as Malcolm Kelly tried to haul that in. Pretty good coverage.
And Bo Ruud, who has a long line of family members. Of course, his brother Barrett, now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but his father Tom also played here. And we talked about how Bill Callahan was playing clips all week during practice to get these guys to know about the history. Well, Tom Ruud had one of the biggest hits, not just in Nebraska history, but in the history of college football against Oklahoma one year.
Omar's got it here in a second down and 10, rolling out to the near side. Looking downfield, and that only buries in the dirt. Talking about that hit that was put on, brace yourselves, put the seatbelt on and hang on to the chair to watch this thing.
Tom Ruud. This is Ruud.
Watch out of nowhere on the right will come the tackler.
Oh, man. And it was funny because Bo had been telling all of his teammates about his dad and how great he was. Yeah, sure, whatever. Sure, your old man was good. And they put that up there, and the entire practice erupted on that hit. And Bo comes off now because you're going to have dime personnel into the game. And Cosgrove has shown on 3rd and long that he likes to bring a blitz from the outside, a cornerback perhaps.
3rd down, 4 for 12 3rd down conversions. Clock ran out, so they will take a timeout. In the first half, Oklahoma 240 total yards. Since then, they have had 3 yards. Nebraska's back. Inspiration comes standard. Polaroid. Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, one taste and you get it. And Pacific Life for insurance, annuities, and investments. Choose Pacific Life with power to help you succeed. With Ed Cunningham, Mark Morgan, and all of our crew, I'm Gary Thorne. Beautiful day. It looks just like that. They are the defensive unit of Nebraska. They are officially licensed to do damage. They're trying to do it right here. On a 3rd down and 10, Oklahoma had to use a timeout to get the play. Bomar out of the shotgun. Looking left and over the middle. That's going to be completed, and that'll be a first down as they move it up to the 47-yard line. Travis Wilson, a 21-yard reception.
What a gutsy performance by Travis Wilson. We saw him when he caught that ball that almost gave him a first down. On the 2nd down, come up gimpy. He's got an ankle and a toe injury on the same foot. This time he's working on Zachary Bowman. I thought Cosgrove was going to bring some pressure. That time he rushes 3, drops 8. A long developing play, and Bowman just couldn't run with him.
Bomar now is 12 out of 25. They try and keep that one on the ground, and we'll move it up near the first down marker. Not quite enough for it. And we'll check in with John Saunders. John.
Well, Gary, the Ohio State Buckeyes trying to pull away from Minnesota, and Troy Smith getting it done. Stops, turns, fires, and Santonio Holmes is wide open. 30 yards, and now the Buckeyes have opened a 3-touchdown lead, and time is running out on the Golden Gophers, 45-24. Gary.
On the defense,
good job.
15-yard penalty.
By Ohio.
From the end of the run, first down.
Good job by Ohio State coming back. Titus Adams on the call. And that's a big one against Nebraska.
Huge one. Pulled down by the face mask, the right call.
Tried to let go at the last minute, but it was too late.
But did you notice the difference in that run? In a second, we're going to chalk up the difference between the types of runs with Peterson. Peterson needs to be in the game to finish this out. He didn't get on the field much in the 3rd quarter because of the time of possession, but at the beginning of this drive, they had Kewan Jones in. 28 needs to be in the ball game.
Not getting much action after a great first half on the ground. Are looking into the end zone. This is a one-on-one, and that'll be incomplete.
Well, they have 2 different types of running plays at Oklahoma. This is the run gun. Watch the running back. He has to run parallel to the line of scrimmage and then find a lane. It takes a long time to develop, and a guy like Kewan Jones, he's a little better at that than Adrian Peterson. But the thing that has been so successful is this type of run where it's a track right at the offensive lineman, downhill. That's the type of runner that Adrian Peterson is, and that is where the green pastures have been today for Oklahoma. Now in this type of game, I think they need to run more of that.
Jones is in the backfield. Jones has got the football, and he will take it down to the 21-yard line. And Peterson again not in. That'll be an 8-yard gain before he is brought down, with McEwen again in on the tackle.
And that's the first time today that I've really seen some good positive yardage in this type of run. Before, this play was always stopped at the line of scrimmage, and it's the backside by Shashan. It's the seal-off by Shashan that allows that play to go. Now you've got to be careful if you're Nebraska. The defensive end came down. If Bomar fakes that handoff and he takes off, there's a lot of yardage to the outside.
See the rushing yardage, 45 for Nebraska, 159 Oklahoma. They use that big shift again under center. Bomar on the 3rd down and a 2, and they're not going to get it. The Nebraska defense rises to the occasion again. And that time they brought Peterson in, and he was about 8 yards back, but Carricker moved up and put the hit on.
Boy, this is not an easy field goal for Garrett Hartland. LaKeven Smith wanted a hold, and he absolutely got tackled. But that's just a good finish on the play. But now you're looking at Hartley with a 40-yarder. I've got to think with the wind the way it's been gusting, this could equal a 50-55-yarder if he doesn't hit it true.
And he may want to drive it, which obviously gives the
got one block,
a better chance to go after it. A 40-yard kick. He is 1 for 3 so far today, as Cody Freeby, number 17, will do the holding. And they fake it. He's going to run with it. Hartley's going to the 20. Utley will be taken out of bounds after he gets the first down. The fake field goal works, and it'll be a 1st and 10 for the Sooners.
And Oklahoma is now 3 for 3 on the year on fake kicks. They had a fake field goal against Kansas for a first down. They had a fake punt against Texas for a first down. And this is a wonderful call by Bob Stoops. Into the wind. He's already had a kick blocked on this side of the field. If you don't get it, it's still a great field position, because a block kick returned for a touchdown, there's no way you want that to happen. What an excellent call by Stoops.
And you saw Nebraska set up to try and block it, so they had nobody on the outside. First down, end to 10, turn to the 10, down to the 5, touchdown for Jones. The fake field goal, a first down, and a 17-yard touchdown run. And a very big series as the Sooners go up 30-17.
You know, Gary, this is the first time in 40 meetings that neither of these teams comes in ranked. But it just always has that feel of a big game. I don't know, and just looking at the history of college football, if there's ever been a guttier coach in situations like that than Bob Stoops. He just consistently makes calls in tight spots, in tough, difficult situations. Because even though this is not a normal Oklahoma-Nebraska with 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 3, it felt like the momentum was starting to change to Nebraska's side. What a great call on that fake field goal.
And you see there's some real jawing going on right there. They're taking Callahan. They had to move him off the field. He had come out on the field, and the official went over and warned him, as he is really upset about that last play and the penalty that he believes should have been called that was not.
Yeah, it looked like Malcolm Kelly may have gotten away with a hold. And that was the crowd saw it happen and wanted the call as well.
Extra point attempt, and this time he is going to kick it, and it is up, and it is good. So look at the penalty that wasn't called that Callahan was upset about.
And they have every right to be upset, because Malcolm Kelly, at the end of this play right there, watch, he gets his arms on the outside of Grigsby and impedes his progress. That needed to be a penalty.
The 2000.
Kewan Jones, his 3rd touchdown, and a very important one here as Nebraska looked like it had momentum back.
And here's what the coaches saw up top. They knew they were coming. Rigoni comes to the inside, and he's just going all out to try to get the block. This is an excellent call. And he just could not recover to the outside. And like I said, this is the 3rd time this year that a fake kick has worked, and then they finish it off. And Kewan Jones, who was suspended last week against Baylor for violating a team rule, and that you already had a running back down with Adrian Peterson, so they had to go to the 3rd and 4th string. Of course, they've got pretty good production out of Jacob Gutierrez, but Kewan Jones is over 2,200 yards on his career. He's a pretty good back.
Well, now it's Nebraska that's got to dig down a little bit deeper to try and find the offense yet one more time. Into that wind, a live drive kick. That's Bobble picked up at the 5. That's Green. Green gets it back up to the 20, 25, 30. Good recovery, and brings it up over the 30 to probably the 32-yard line. Reggie Smith put the hit on him. 1st and 10 for the Huskers. Tonight on ESPN, Michigan visits the high-octane Northwestern Wildcats. College football primetime presented by Polaroid. ESPN tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern. Michigan Northwestern available in high definition on ESPN HD.
Last week on Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler and Lee Corso, they were talking about the Big Ten Championship. They had a great horse announcer with the race going on. Of course, Northwestern still in the mix.
1st and 10, trying to get away Taylor, and he is not going to. He will be sacked at one more time. They have put pressure on the entire football game. That Sooner front. Calvin Thibodeau has been one of those who's been in all day long. That is the 6th sack of the day.
Thibodeau, a guy that they weren't expecting to have to play this much. They lost 2 defensive ends for the year when Larry Burdine went down with a bicep and John Williams went down with an ACL. And the coaches have just been so pleased with the way Thibodeau. And has there been one play where he hasn't been chasing Zach Taylor today?
He's either chased it or he's closed down any attempt to go to the outside. Taylor again looking, wants to go deep out of that pocket. It'll be incomplete at the 35-yard line. Taylor looked this way, went the other way, incomplete to Phillips, and let's go to Mark Morgan.
Gary Ed was just talking about Cal Thibodeau. He's made some great plays today. He has the unofficial title of team barber on the Sooners team. Thibodeau used to cut his own hair, so he decided he would try his skill out on others, and now I'm told about 20 of his teammates come to Cal's house for haircuts. He's got all the tools, razors, shears, and scissors, and according to teammate David Joseph, everyone likes the job he does.
And obviously, Dvorak does not go to Mr. Thibodeau's barber shop.
Or anybody else.
Yeah, he needs to make a visit.
All right, this is going to bring up a 3rd down and 11. Nebraska, big rush, blitz, fumble. Jones will haul it back in. Corey Ross rather hauled that one back in. Rufus Alexander. And again, this Nebraska crowd taken out of the game, booing again. Ross went back to recover it, but give credit where due, and that's to this Sooner defense.
Rufus too. Well, the middle of the pocket, and nobody. Corey Ross just blew his assignment. He's got to go inside out. When you're picking up a blitz, the guy with the A to B, the closest to the quarterback, is the guy coming through the A gap, that middle gap between the guard and the center. And we've seen a couple of times today on both sides where they look to the outside. You've got to get the inside guy first.
This punt will come from the 3-yard line, but it's going to have to come again. Flags down. So they whistle that one before he could get it off. The Nebraska does not need to be driven any further back here as they're almost punting out of the end zone.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. Number 24. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
They're going to be driven back anyway.
And now's where you come after it. You've got a punter standing in his own end zone. You know he's nervous. He's going to get a good punt because of the wind if you let him kick it. I think you hurry him, and even if you don't get the block, maybe he'll shank it.
Lendy Holmes is back at his own 40-yard line. And we'll see whether or not the big rush indeed is put on here in the end zone. He gets that kickoff and a good one. Back at the 33-yard line, Holmes turns it up and will be shy of the 40 and fumbles, and Nebraska, I believe, got it. Hang on, nope. A Nebraska player got there first but could not hang on to it under the pile. 59-yard kick and a 6-yard return. And a big recovery on the fumble.
And Nebraska needed something. They just got nothing on that last drive. Let's see when that ball comes out. Bullock started knocking it out. Boy, what a good job. What an excellent job by Lendy Holmes to get that ball back. He had to fight for it to get it.
He dropped it and recovered it. And mighty happy that he did. Otherwise, he would not be received on the sideline that way.
You go from a get out of my face to an attaboy. Hey, I had a coach at college that said the most important part of a play is the finish. Lendy Holmes finished that play just fine.
You just proved it right there. Omar back on the attack to the near side, and a little trip up. Anderson keeps digging. He fumbles the football, and it goes out of bounds. Adrian Peterson is running with authority here in this game. Time permitting, we'll have the Thrifty Car Rental postgame report. John, Craig, and Aaron will be along with all the day's highlights and the analysis from the matchup. And obviously, deeper we go, the more spotlight is shined on so many games as teams try and get to their conference championships and make a bowl bid. That ball will be spotted now at the 38-yard line as Adrian Peterson, over 100 yards, 130 now in 18 rushes, is 13th 100-plus yard rushing game of the 20 that he has played. Jones comes back in. He had the touchdown run last time out. He'll try it again near side, cuts back inside and to the 40-yard line for a gain of 2, where the hit is made by McEwen.
Jones was slow to get up. Talking with J.D. Runnels, the fullback, yesterday about with Adrian Peterson out for spring ball, and then he's been out quite a bit during fall camp with the injuries. It's allowed a lot of the other running backs, including Runnels, who typically has been just a fullback kind of player, to get more involved. And this is the type of area, third and medium, where a fullback, if he can catch it, is a really good weapon out of the backfield.
And Runnels indeed can catch the football. He's had 10 receptions. They flare Jones out to the left side, run the little screen near side, and not going to go anywhere with that. Maybe to the line of scrimmage or a yard loss. Brandenburg moved in. Lance Brandenburg put the hit on, and the Nebraska defense rises to the occasion again.
good recognition by Brandenburg. And they were setting up. We saw Runnels on that fullback screen earlier in the game that picked up a first down. A good adjustment by Kevin Cosgrove to say, hey, recognizing personnel is important, not just by formation, but by people. And Runnels, a guy who they're not going to use very much. Well, they've already seen it. They went back to the well, and checkmate by Cosgrove.
Sophomore Cody Freeby back to do the punting. Terrence Nunn is standing back at his own 25. Nebraska shuffling up front. A good snap, kicking into the wind. Flag is down. There'll be no play here. Flag's down on the punt, and they were dropped all over the field. May have run out of time on that.
Yeah, Nebraska was shifting all around, showing a 10-man rush. And Oklahoma was trying to adjust to it.
Delay a game. Kicking team. Number 17. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
Oh, bring it back and try it again. We want to thank Kenny Mossman, Oklahoma, Keith Mann, Nebraska, the SIDs, who helped us out all week long in gathering information and gathering people, in fact, to help us prepare. Guys, we appreciate the effort. This is going to bring up a 4th down and 12 now. So this is going to move the returner back up to the 35-yard line for Nunn. Again, Nebraska shuffling people around. I mean shuffling. So Oklahoma just waits till everybody stops moving. Again, the high kick shanked to the near side, and it will take a bounce for Oklahoma and go out of bounds. And 1st and 10. And while we've got a moment here after 38-yard kick, let's take a look at the bigger picture in college football.
Well, we'll look at the national picture, but I think the people that around the Big 12 that'll like about the midterm report card. We'll start down in the SEC. The biggest surprise for me, by far, is Mike Shula growing into the role of being a head coach, unranked to 5th in the BCS. For me, the best player, and listen, Reggie Bush is sensational, but I have seen Vince Young, as have you, and I think right now he's the best player in the country. And for me, for all 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams, Texas, USC is not good on special teams, and they've really struggled in their secondary so far this year.
Taylor looking downfield. That'll be caught and out of bounds. They're going to try and save a little clock time here as well as move the football. It'll be a 14-yard gain on the down and out reception by Terrence Nunn. Now, Nebraska's had an entire football game where it's been one uphill battle. The whole first half, the offense wouldn't work. They got back into it. They got the crowd back into it second half. And then Oklahoma able to take advantage on that fake punt and move it along and score a fake field goal and then score a touchdown after they picked up the first down.
And right now they're going to try to conserve some clock. Anything they get near the sideline or beyond the sticks.
Taylor all day long has been passing with no one in front of him. It'll be completed to Corey Ross and out of bounds. The Oklahoma defense, Sooner defense, has just said to him, go ahead, you want to run the football, you run it. But if you're going to pass it, you're going to have to throw with at least single, if not double coverage.
And that's what Brent Venables and Bob Stoops have been fighting all year. And a lot of people might say, oh, they're playing a little too soft, they're not being aggressive enough. But they've been burnt so many times over the top. Example A is last week against Baylor. When they're in a deep coverage, they're up by 8, and a guy runs right by the deep middle safety. So right now, they're going to make Taylor earn every inch, and Taylor's got to work the sidelines because the clock's starting to be his enemy.
Taylor looking downfield, this time wide open in the middle, and a big hit, but it's caught and held on to. Well, that's going to be at the 14-yard line, but what a hit was put on Nate Swift. 28-yard gain, Reggie Smith got him.
Swift getting his first start, a running back out of Hutchinson, Minnesota, takes a shot. Started the season, had 0 catches through 3 games, 19 coming into today in the last 4 ball games, a huge game last week, and he's one of those young guys that they've really been working along, and Nebraska's on the move.
Nebraska making the move here. It'll be a 1st down and 10. They are trailing 31-17 here in their home field, trying to get the Sea of Red back into it. Ross on the carry, throws wide open, touchdown! Nate Swift! The first pass that Corey Ross on the option has thrown from his running back position this year, and Nate Swift could not have been more open if he'd have been out in one of the cornfields here in Nebraska. I mean, there was nobody around him. Extra point coming. Congdon. So they do it in a hurry, getting on the board, and that's what they needed. And the kick is up and good, and here comes Nebraska again, 31-24.
Well, a bunch of freshmen playing in the secondary, and Reggie Smith comes up and gets sucked right in, and this is an easy throw. Great call by Bill Callahan against an inexperienced secondary.
Looking back. Swift with the touchdown catch, 31-24. 4 plays, 70 yards covered. Swift is now 9 receptions, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Nebraska.
That's nothing. He had 135 yards last week. I mean, this guy has been great. And the key to that drive, we were talking about how they were working the sidelines. 40 seconds to cut it to 7. What a great drive.
Just what they needed. Bill Callahan's team continues to respond. And there's still time, 5:56. And I'm telling you, if we don't get Charlie Brown some help here pretty soon, that's the 3rd time the ball has come off the tee as Lucy continues to pick it up just as Charlie gets ready to kick it.
I don't know why, but when I was playing ball and we'd play in windy stadiums, I just always got a laugh out of that. Well, and I'm going to keep saying the Lucy joke until it becomes funny.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I like
about
that.
the 17th time it'll become humorous.
Hey, for the beloved Charles Schultz, the late great who drew the Peanuts column. It worked every year, every football season.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of the greatest Halloween specials of all time.
The Great Pumpkin. you blockhead, Charlie Brown. That one with the wind will drive it back into the end zone, and there it will be down. So now the Nebraska defense will go to work. Here's our Pacific Light game summary.
Well, a game that Nebraska has just looked like they've been out of it. And a lot of times, a couple of different times, because Adrian Peterson, who has come back and run very well. But Zach Taylor, who really played poorly in the first half, has looked great. And they have found a new player in Nate Swift, and then a brilliant call by Bob Stoops. And this drive, you felt like it might have been putting the game away. But then 40 seconds to score, and an excellent call by Callahan. He knew the safety was going to come down the freshman, and Corey Ross, you don't even have to throw it perfect when it's that wide open.
It is Peterson who's come in now to try and run the football and give him a little room maybe as they come from under center. Bomar turns, gives it to him straight ahead. Not much room there. The cornerbacks come up to drive him back. And they've blown the whistle.
They got to blow the whistle.
Wow. He got hit 3 times and was being held, but no whistle had blown. So for the Huskers, they had to keep coming.
They've got to blow the whistle. You know, I mean, I know he's fighting, but guys down around his ankles, and safety always comes first. He's still moving, still moving. As soon as they grab a hold of his waist and he's going backwards, blow the whistle. So remember, this is a guy who's nursing an ankle as well.
That high ankle sprain he's had from game 1. But he has had a tremendous day today. Peterson, number 28 in the backfield. It'll be a 2nd down and 8. Somehow he got 2 out of that. Ball picked up off the ground. Quick release to the 30 and out of bounds for a 1st down. Good catch, Malcolm Kelly, for a 9-yard gain and a 1st down.
That coverage just entirely too soft. On that side of the field, Grigsby just playing way off of Kelly. You know, you got some young guys out there and people still trying to find the system, and Bush, the center, he got up slow a couple of times during the ball game.
Chris Bush, who's had to move into center because of another injury as he came from a guard position into the center position. 6'3", 305-pound senior Chris Bush out of Texas. And obviously he really got the bell rung on that one. He had trouble trying to walk off the field there. So they want to make sure that he is all right. So we will get John Cooper, a freshman. This is a freshman coming in now to play center. Keep in mind how important this is on these snaps of the quarterback and center.
You know, you always talk about the exchange when the quarterback underneath. Now in the run gun, if you're going to ask a young player in Cooper to snap and move and block, that's even more difficult. I would put the quarterback under center. Good formation here called by Chuck Long.
1st down and 10. Leave Peterson very deep. Put the fullback in front of him. Peterson on the carry. Spinning. That's why the officials don't blow the whistle, because he won't give up.
It never goes down.
Takes the whole Nebraska team to hauling down after an 8-yard gain, shy of a 1st down by about a yard. What a day he has had. Peterson had no idea how much he would play today. He's answered the call.
Remember the game we did last year at Kansas State? And, you know, he would just get hit. And if you don't hit him head up, even if you hit him head up, you know, but if he's one of those guys who finds your angle, he gets to half of you, and he is so powerful. It's like you're a door. You just swing wide open when he hits you a half of your body.
140 yards on 20 carries. And he stays in the football game on a second down and short yardage. Peterson on the carry. He will come close to that first down. It will depend on the spot here. And now what we were talking about in the third quarter is happening here in the fourth. You're seeing Peterson in the game on every play.
Well, they needed him in that I formation, and with Bush going out and John Cooper, a true freshman, coming in, this is something that a young player would be more used to doing. Now on third and short with a true freshman center, got to think maybe some kind of play action. Bob Stoops is not afraid to be aggressive.
Nebraska with all three of their timeouts remaining. Oklahoma's got the lead. Big third down and 1. Peterson stayed in, gets the football, head down, first down. Just charging, bowling ahead. He was going to come out, as you saw. He came to the sideline, and then they sent him back in.
No. It's third and short.
Jay Moore got him, but not in time. First down.
And Jay Moore doing an excellent job coming down inside. He's going to be free, slips off the block, but he just runs. When he gets near the line of scrimmage, 230 pounds, and he's about 2 feet off the ground. And Moore did a nice job, but just cannot make the play. Looked to me like he got the first.
They'll bring the chain in here. Obviously a very big play with 3 minutes, 36 seconds left to go. Because if not, it's going to bring up a fourth down and short yardage, but he got it by half the length of the football. First down. So Adrian Peterson gets it done. That'll give him a 1st and 10. Peterson heads over to the sideline. What a difference this could make for Oklahoma if, in fact, he is going to play this way the rest of the season, because that'll give the Sooners a shot, Big 12 championship game, and maybe a bowl game. It's what they're after. Peterson comes right back in.
And with Peterson running the way he is, Nebraska may have to use those 3 timeouts to get the ball back, because we're going to let this play clock, if you're Oklahoma, run all the way down to 2 or 3 seconds when the clock is running like this.
Peterson still in there on the first down at 10. Take that clock down as far as they can, pitch it back to him, turns it, and he'll be taken down with a gain of probably 1 when they spot it. That was Smith who moved in to put the hit on, number 66. And a timeout with 3 remaining for Nebraska will be used. The Cornhuskers down to 3:05 on the clock, trailing at 31-24, have got to get the football back.
Yeah, and this is where you have to use these timeouts, because if Peterson gets going, he's just going to eat it all.
Take a look. We were talking about the conference championship game. This is the Big 12 North, and this is why Nebraska, despite the fact they've had 2 conference losses, still looking.
Colorado and Missouri will meet later in the year, but Nebraska just hanging in there. A loss today, and you can pretty much knock them out of contention to go to the Big 12 championship game. And in the South, it's everybody chasing Texas. Oklahoma's still in the mix. I mean, crazier things has happened. Texas still has to play Texas A&M. But Texas, of all the teams in that kind of top 2 or 3 in the BCS, probably the easiest run of games down the stretch.
And Missouri was losing today in their football game in the fourth, 13-3 to Kansas. So that would really affect the standings in the North. So that's what's up for grabs, even though these 2 teams generally, as we said in their meetings, historically, it's involved a national title chance has been on the line. It's not the case this year. Some have tried to say that has taken away from the tradition of this football game with these 2 programs. But if you talk to the players, these young men on both these teams, as we did this week, I mean, to them, the tradition is there, and they could not wait to be part of it.
They revel in it, and the coaches really push it very hard. They want their players to know the history of what's happened between these 2 programs.
A second down and 9. Rushing yards, Oklahoma 180, Nebraska 28. Oklahoma, Peterson, one of the reasons they're up there in that department. Another timeout will probably be used as he goes to the 47. As Bo Ruud moved in to put the hit on, and Peterson, who did not carry the ball much in the third quarter, is now carrying it all the time here in the fourth.
Well, let's take a look at our Dodge defensive playbook, and it looks like the difference in this ball game may end up being a defensive play by Oklahoma. Joke Onyenagecha, who dropped an interception earlier in the game on this exact route, does a wonderful job reading the quarterback's eyes. He had the outside receiver. He saw the out cut, saw Zach Taylor had locked in on it, comes in to make the catch and return it for the touchdown. He has done a really good job. He's kind of the veteran guy at cornerback, the senior, the only senior that plays cornerback, and that time uses his knowledge to pick it off and take it to the house.
Big plays week after week, coaches talk about. They decide football games, turnovers, penalties, and big plays. And in this ball game, Oklahoma's been able to make the big play. The Sooners on that one. Then the field goal attempt that they faked, ran for a first down. Next play ended up being a touchdown. They've been able to come away with big plays.
Well, and I think you're starting to get the sense, you know, a lot was said. People wrote off Oklahoma for dead earlier in the year. And if they run out, if they keep playing this well, they could run out and end up 8-3 in a really nice bowl game. The talent is there. It's just been very young. A lot of freshmen have had to play.
Wholesale change made by Nebraska here defensively. And this 3rd down and 5. Looks like they want to put some heat on.
Yeah, with 3 minutes left, it's worth trying to pick it up. You know, some people may say run it and you make them use their timeout. I think you've got to try to pick up the first.
Beaumont is going to carry on the big pitch, running backwards and down.
And it was a bad pitch, Gary.
Had him running backwards, and Jones just could not get his balance back and lost yardage.
If he gets this pitch, he gets about 8 or 10 yards first down, and this game may be over because Nebraska probably would have had to have burned their last time out. Chuck Long makes the right call. I'm thinking pass. I thought they were throwing it the whole way, and it's just a bad pitch, and Jones could never get it. There's nobody home. The receivers had run off because and a blitz from the outside gets swallowed. Lakeven Smith, a big guy hustling, he wouldn't have been able to get out there if that's a clean pitch.
The final timeout will be used by Nebraska as it will bring up a 4th down and 8. And a punting situation as Nebraska is going to have a chance to get the football back with 2:46 still on the clock.
Well, the Sea of Red is getting used to close ones. The last 3 ball games have been decided at home either in overtime or in the last second. This was a field goal attempt by Pitt to win it, and Adam Ickes blocks it. And then Corey Ross in the second overtime against Iowa State takes it in. And then Texas Tech, after Lakeven Smith makes the interception and the fumble, everyone thought the game was over. And then Cody Hodges makes the great play to Joel Filati to win it. So this home crowd's kind of used to this type of finish.
We have talked from the beginning about the wind and the factor that it has been in this ball game to the punters. Well, right here, it's going to be kicking into the wind. That wind has stayed up 35, 40-mile-an-hour gusts here this afternoon. And he's going to be kicking from about the 30-yard line. Cody Freeby. Courtney Grigsby will be standing back at his own 20. Let's see if he tries to line drive this rather than getting it up into the wind. Nope, he's going to hang on. And a fair catch called for and made at the 26-yard line and almost dropped.
This crowd is great. They tell you what their emotions are by their noises.
32-yard kick on that. And so Nebraska gets a chance. A day that has been entirely uphill. We welcome those of you joining us on ESPN on our ABC coverage of this matchup. The 82nd time Oklahoma and Nebraska have gone at it. Oklahoma had the better of it by far in the first half. Nebraska got back into it in the second. And now with time running out, 2:37 to go in the fourth, they've got a shot at it. Taylor, they'll start in their own territory out of the shotgun. Zach Taylor at quarterback. Good block by Ross. He steps up, throws complete. 30, 35-yard line. Not quite enough for the first down. Clock going. Mulkey, an 8-yard gain hit by Baker.
Get up. You don't want to have to use that last time out.
They already have.
Good point, Gary.
Yep,
that's right. They used it on the 4th down, which was the right decision.
And you see the official, they're not doing anything here about that because the injury's got to be severe enough that they believe now they will stop the clock with 2:19 left to go.
And they need Mulkey. He's been the go-to guy for Zach Taylor. Here's a drag route. Taylor doing a good job stepping up into the pocket. Oh, he got his leg caught up as he went down. But Mulkey's been the most consistent underneath receiver. Swift has been the guy who's been running the posts and the corners, but Mulkey's so important. Remember earlier in the game, everything they were doing down the field, Mulkey's been involved And a lot of these kind of underneath routes, they really need him.
5 receptions for Mulkey in the game. He will have to leave it here. It's going to bring up a second down short yardage. Second down and 1. 2:19 on the clock starting at the snap. Under center Taylor. That is incomplete. That would have been enough for the first down on the near side, but he couldn't hang on to it. Todd Peterson, wide receiver coming in for Mulkey. He's not been involved very much in this game.
And that's really unusual. Peterson, a walk-on freshman, has worked his way into the lineup because of his good hands. He's had 2 touchdown catches in 2 ball games prior to this. And that was why he was working his way up the lineup. That was just a lack of focus.
Peterson will stay in. Zach Taylor again going to the right. He's got a chance to run it for the first down, and he will get it. And that will stop the clock. So Taylor takes it as Rufus Alexander put the hit on. 2:06 left to go. Playing against the clock.
Little sprint out protection. What a great job. He's looking for the same route over to Peterson, but as he sprints out, watch the eyes. It would have been a very difficult throw, and he saw he had that little gap. Heads up play.
Taking some good hits. Flags down, no play. They'll whistle that one right there. As it was Corey Ross who was going to take it out to the right side that time. And Nebraska may have taken a little too long on that. Oklahoma's going to use the time to get in a nickel defense.
Dead ball. Ball start. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
This is where the youngness of a team can show up. You're trying to do everything right, make big plays here at the end of a football game, and a couple of mistakes will move them back.
And Zach Taylor, one of the biggest reasons he won the starting job was because he knows the system and he's calm, and they need that in this.
Taylor, oh, what a rush. He is leveled back at the 23-yard line, and it's Dvorak again and Rufus Alexander, the 8th sack for the Sooner defense in this game. And he's got to get right back up with the clock running, 1:36 left to go. Second down now and 22 yards for the first down. He avoids one reach, has time, throws it, wide open, incomplete at the 25, and Nate Swift had no one on him.
2 things. Inexperienced secondary, letting someone run by them in a situation where you cannot let somebody run by, and the wind at the back. That was an absolute blown coverage by DJ Wolf. He was sitting with his body turned towards the line of scrimmage, peeking, and he did not run with Swift, and the ball gets a little too much air with the wind behind it.
What a great look of Zach Taylor. You saw behind the play all the way back upfield with his head down, now back in it again. The third down play, steps up. It's pass coverage entirely. Gets away at the 20. Still looking. Comes back the other way. Who's downfield? Ross has got it. Tried to stay in bounds. Could not and did not get a first down. He knew he had to go another 2 steps to get a first down. A 19-yard gain, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, he got there and was tiptoeing.
And now
there's a flag. Yeah.
Flag back up.
The way Nebraska's walking, this is against them.
It had to be a holding somewhere when you have a quarterback running around that long.
You know what that might be because of the running lineman downfield, Gary.
Yep. I was going to say, when I said who's downfield, I was looking to see if there were some big numbers.
And there's y'all player downfield.
And that's what it is.
You know, in this situation, everybody has to know what's going on, including the linemen. With 3rd and 22, your offensive linemen need to know that Zach Taylor's not going to try to run this ball. If he does, he's not going to get there. So they have to do everything they can. Oh, I see exactly what happened. That was the center. Kurt Mann assumed that he was going to run, but Kurt's just got to realize there's no way Zach Taylor's going to take off and run with that.
Taylor is 25 out of 44, 249 yards, 2 TDs, and 2 interceptions. A 3rd down and 27 for Nebraska, trailing here with 1:09 left to go. Again, looking, again, gets hit, lets it go, and it'll be incomplete. And he became the middle of a Sooner sandwich right there, as Taylor has had a day of up and down off this turf.
Well, and what a shame that Kurt Mann, a very bright guy with a 3.97 GPA, made a little bit of a mistake. I mean, you can't blame him. He thought his quarterback was going to run. Otherwise, you'd have had about 3rd and 2, or excuse me, 4th and 2, where Corey Ross went out of bounds. Instead, now you're looking at 4th and 27. This is almost like a Hail Mary situation.
All right, the first down markers near midfield. It's up at the 49-yard line. Big rush put on. Big rush. Gets away once, but not twice. Clint Ingram with the 9th sack of the day. And that may be enough. It should be for the Sooners. Their defense has made the difference as Taylor gets sacked again. Let's check in New York, John Saunders.
Well, Gary, USC this week the number 2 team in the BCS poll, but Matt Leinart still number 1 in just about everybody's scorecard. 29 yards to Dwayne Jarrett. 7-0 is the lead. When we come back, we'll take some of you out to that game. Others will go to Texas A&M and Iowa State. That one also just underway. It is scoreless right now as A&M looks to go to 4-1 in conference play. We'll get you out to those games in a moment.
All right, John, and in this one, it's 31-28, and for Oklahoma, it's going to be a rare win in Lincoln, Nebraska. It has been a while since Oklahoma's been able to quiet this crowd of red.
Yeah.
But they're going to do it here today with the time running out. A second down and 11, 43 seconds left to go. Peterson with a tremendous game, and great news for Oklahoma if he is able to play this way the rest of the year.
Looked stronger as the game went on, and that's typical of Adrian Peterson. When he starts running downhill and he gets some momentum, boy, he will wear out the defense. He didn't get to play at all in the third quarter because Nebraska, and give Zach Taylor credit too. He's from Norman, Oklahoma. A lot of pressure on him in this game. It looked like the pressure was on him the first half, but he gave his team a chance to win it here in the second half.
So it will run down. Peterson, 24 carries, 146 yards, and 2 TDs. Bomar went 14 out of 28, 157 yards. First win for the Sooners here in Nebraska since 1987. And for Oklahoma, they will keep their bowl hopes alive after playing in the championship game last year, as they will improve their mark in the conference to 4-1. And for Nebraska, a tough loss at home as they battled hard here to try and get back into this football game, but it was just not to be. Let's take a look at today's Chevrolet players of the game. Adrian Peterson, you see the yardage he's put out. And for McKeon, a tough defensive game, 8 tackles, a couple for losses, $1,000 contribution made by Chevrolet to each university's general scholarship fund. That's the final. The traditional football game is done. And for Oklahoma, 31-24 win. For Ed Cunningham, Mark Morgan, and all of our crew, I'm Gary Thorne. Thanks for being with us. A lot more college football coming up here on ABC. Hang in. Watch it. See you later.